Maybe, oh, hello, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rainbow Six Berlin Major. How's everybody doing after that first series? That was good, right? Now, I know a lot of the crowd have gone to check out the merch stands and all that good stuff, but for those of you who are still here, we really appreciate you being back at the first Siege LAN in Europe for what feels like forever. So, do you feel nice? Does it feel good to be amongst the Siege family again, right? Is it good? Especially when we're kicking off with banging series like that. And the good thing is, we are literally just getting started. Not only do we have all of the other quarterfinals coming up here today, but also we've got 2 more full days of Siege coming your way with lots of surprises in between. So whether you're watching at home or you bought a ticket to be here in person, you made the right decision because we're going to be having a lot of fun here in Berlin. Who's ready for the second quarterfinal? Hey, that was good. I said who's ready for the second quarterfinal? All right, bringing on our first team, NA's last lifeline. Will they be raising the flag this weekend? It's XSET! They did fantastically well in what many described as the toughest group in the tournament. A team, as you can see, brimming with confidence. Now, I know that when it comes to this crowd, half of you are wandering around, and the half that are still here, I want to see if I can get you to do this one for me as we bring out the next team. Can I get a ow? Prowling onto this stage in a pack, it's Wolves! A mix of youth, experience. It's eclectic, wearing black and orange. They are here and ready to get the job done. Now, before we bring them up here onto the stage for the handshake and to get in position to get into this second quarterfinal, it's time for the face-off.
I feel confident playing Wolves' first game. I don't think they stand a chance. I think we're going to beat them and it's going to be an easy game. Our strategy against Wolves will be trust the defaults, play our own game and punish their game, and we should be fine. Chalet was the first major for a few of my teammates, so I feel like we gained a lot of experience and we're a lot more ready this event, and I feel like this is our major to win. My impression on Wolves is a solid team. They got first in the UO. I think they have potential, but here we're in the big leagues. This is a major. They don't stand a chance against us.
I think we are feeling pretty confident to play against XSET as the first match of our playoff, for the simple reason that they have the same game style than we do. It's the best matchup for us. It's going to be a great fight, yeah. I think the strategy we are aiming against XSET is basically not falling in their very aggressive gameplay in attack and trying to isolate players in our own attacks and try to capitalize on their mistakes. So to the XSET guys, I hope you guys are good for a good fight, right? Because we have the best French Canadian in our team. Sorry, Spirits.
These 2 teams will make the semi-final. The other will exit the competition here in the quarterfinals. It is time to shake hands and take your seats. XSET and Wolves.
And we are back again on the analyst desk. It's time to fill everybody in on our next matchup. Wolves going up against the North American team in an XSET. And XSET is carrying more Brazilian flags than anything else. I'm just going to point that out real quick here, Jesse and Jacob.
Listen.
But we're in, so let's talk about them. It's your bread and butter, right? We can start off with XSET and what they'd have to show, because I think it was a big surprise for people to see them to the top 4, and now even more into playoffs. That's a hell of a way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a team that I think we've seen have their ups and downs throughout the NAL. They are now the most consistent North American team of the year, the only team to go back-to-back top 8. But I think there are still moments of inconsistency that you could look back on for this roster and see some problems in. I think the big one here is one of the 2 French Canadians in this matchup. Spirits has been one of those guys that's kind of been hot, kind of been cold. He's so good when he's on, but there have been some matches, especially in the NAL regular season, where he wasn't necessarily having the impact that he needed to. So I think XSET certainly, not the team that most of us thought would be the sole North American representative here, but they're still a strong roster. I think they really can bring it to the Wolves.
Yeah, but think about what they've done successfully so far. The single biggest concern we had after Stage 2, how are they going to be on attacks? Because they were 6th place, middling only about 1 point above average in that department in Stage 2. What have they done when they come here? Number 1 attacking team out of 16 international squads. They are 15.5 points above the average on attack by itself. And that's even in spite of there being some concerns over who's even meant to be playing Finca. That's the responsibility Spirits and Gomez both share in tandem. And yet Kino is the breacher, the Thermite, and he's top fragging. If you play Thermite in your ranked squads, watch what Kino does, because that's exactly what you're meant to be doing.
If I watch Kino, will I just aim better?
Probably.
Because I definitely need more of that.
You know, he
I'm a Legion one trick, have been since 2018.
He aced on Thermite in his first ever professional round.
That's true.
The man's been doing it literally since he stepped onto the server for the first time with OXG. And this XSET team, like Jesse mentioned, is now the single most consistent North American squad in this entire major format, period. Astralis couldn't be here, Dark Zero couldn't be here, OXG couldn't be here. It's just the Brazilians, an American, and one mean old French Canadian.
Well, look, you're talking all of this. XSET this, XSET that. But what about Wolves on the other side? Because if I'm not mistaken, they're also a pretty darn good team.
That they are, Milos. I mean, Wolves are the top team coming in from France. I mean, taking that crown over BDS, who have historically been that #1 French team. They've really fallen off, but Wolves have been that team that have slotted in and filled in their place. I think a lot of people were shocked by the plays that we saw from Wolves at the very start of the EUL. They were undefeated for so long in Stage 2. Now, it didn't last forever. They eventually did drop a couple games, but still, for a lot of people, Wolves were one of the favorites to win this entire event coming here into Berlin. I think they're a squad that are going to have some fan favorites in the crowd. That home team advantage always does show up big, but I think for Wolves especially, this is going to be a tournament that they really are looking to come home with the W.
Lots of big plays from guys like Mowgli, and these dudes are like insane enough to go for bar stage defenses, of all things. So on defense, that was the primary motivator specifically. They were phenomenal back in EUL, and they're keeping that exact same form here. It hasn't really changed that much. They were the best team in the EUL on defense, and they're the second best team in the world behind W7M, who themselves were miles above the entire field. Now it comes back to still a pretty respectable average on D, and that's exactly what we're hoping will still continue here.
All right, from then on, that's your introduction for both of our squad, Wolves and XSET. What maps will we be playing in this series? Again, all here is best of 3 until we hit the final, and we go in a first. Ban, 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 and then our pick. Wolves going for Clubhouse. Up after that is XSET's pick. They go to Chalet, and our decider, should we need it, will be Oregon. So let's look at this from the macro point of view. Is there a clear winner in this?
I don't think so. I think this is a map ban phase that both these teams are going to be pretty comfortable on. I think that you always the biggest worry I had for Wolves actually coming into this was that they do have a bit of a weak map pool, right? There's a lot of maps they don't play. They've never played Theme. They've never played Sky. They rarely play Border and Cafe. They've done nothing but lose on recently.
All of which have been their permabans so far.
Yes, they've banned the exact same maps every single game through groups, basically through the entirety of the EUL as well. They've not had a deep pool, but still they walk away without really having to deal with any of those, right? Clubhouse, Chalet, okay, great. They play both of those maps, and then Oregon as well. This is a map they play. XSET, they're not going to be fools. They obviously know what they're doing in this map ban phase, but forcing Wolves to not play on one of those maps that they have zero experience on in recent times feels like an odd decision.
Only if you look at the maps that XSET themselves also play, because they like Oregon, they like Clubhouse. If we need 3, we're going to Oregon in the first place. The one that confuses me is Chalet. Yes, Wolves have played it a couple times in this group stage. It's not a map that XSET themselves have touched since Stage 1, and when they did, they were only 1-1 on it. So when we head to map 2, it stands to reason that they've got something special saved up for it, because from a ban point of view, they don't really do all that much with it. This very much feels like a map they're largely indifferent to.
Yeah, I'm really hoping we get to that map 3 as well, because Oregon is so strong for both of these squads. You take a look at XSET, 7 plays this year, one of their most played maps. They've got a positive record. They've got 2 plays on it through groups. They lost to Rogues to start the tournament, but by the end, they were serving Damwon Kia a 7-1 dominant win there. And then you take a look at Wolves on Oregon. They were 6-0, undefeated this year, until Oxygen came in and ruined them in a game that didn't mean much for Wolves. Ruins my stat, but still a really strong performance, a really strong map from Wolves as well. So if we can get to that map 3, and I'm hoping we do, we're likely to see some very high-level Oregon gameplay.
All right, so Clubhouse. It's for Wolves, from seeing them in EU League, it seems like they are incredibly comfortable, and not just an EU League thing, but currently, if you don't know how to play Clubhouse, you might as well not be playing.
Right.
So this should be one where XSET can hang with Wolves, but how can they do that? What's the X factors for both of these squads?
Well, the thing I think you can exploit if you're XSET is the fact that on attack, Wolves play this map almost the same way over and over and over again. It's the very same lineup. It's the same basic ideology, but it's also Clubhouse. It's one where you work through the same steps over and over again. That's not necessarily anything new. XSET have the ability to notice that and exploit that fact, because there's a lot of creative things that they can do on attack. They've shored up that problem. They're not a mid-NAL attacking team. They're now the best team in the world at it, at least for the course of this group stage.
Right.
They might be able to do it against a Wolves team that has already been proven to be formulaic on Clubhouse to an extent.
I think the thing as well for Clubhouse, like, it's a map that requires like a lot of steps to it sometimes. Like, there's a lot of utility play in getting open walls, clearing, hatches, using the floorboards to open things up. And I do feel like XSET really do shine in that aspect when they have to bring a lot of hard breach, Thatcher, whatever that might be. They've got a really killer support combo of both Diaz and Kino, who really can sometimes save the day. I think arguably the best support combo in this top 8 that we've got here in Berlin. You look at their stats through the group stage. Diaz, 32 deaths, 49 survival rates, 75 cost, all the best stats for survivability that we've seen throughout the group stage. And then Kino, 8 plants, top in the group stage with a number of kits on the ground. So that's a support combo you can rely on time and time again to put you in good position.
What's the combo on the other side?
I mean,
you're talking about Mowgli.
well, so no, but we'll talk about it to no end, but it's mostly the fact that Mowgli is the highlight player for Wolves. The man is, I'm not going to say a finger crutch, but that's mostly what he plays. That is the thing that has been the spearhead so far for a Wolves team when, back when they were Vitality, we're struggling to find something down the middle. It's because Rise seems like if he plays Sledge, it's quite passive. He's not the world's most aggressive player, and you're looking kind of for some other answer in the middle of that. P4 has shown up in a really nice way to complement Mowgli on the entry. So you're definitely not without additional options if for some reason one of them goes down. It's just more a matter of who can continue to clutch. Luckily, in the group stage, they have one of the highest 1vx stat of any other team in groups. They seem like everything is running on all cylinders at the moment. I just wonder how a team like XSET's going to break them.
So let's talk about Mowgli for just a moment here. I want to highlight players and really talk about them, as the admin talk about them has been the story so far. And Mowgli is an excellent player that we've had. Unfortunately, he's been swapped out for Volps for this game, to make it clear for everyone. But this man, let's put some numbers on all of this. 117 expected performance score. So he's performing a minimum of 17% over the average player. 19 on entry.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Insane.
That's crazy. And it's what we don't see here is it's 19 and 12. So it's not even like he's been in like a ton of opening engagements. I mean, he has, but he's winning such a high percentage of those opening engagements as well. That KD ratio as well, 80 to 63. The current kill leader here in Berlin, 80 kills more than anybody else. If you're looking at players that might reach that 100K mark, he's got to be the first one that you're expecting to get there. Assuming they continue on long enough in this tournament. They're likely going to need to win this best of 3 to push it all the way there.
So, who takes map 1? Quick. Game's ready. Thank you. That's...
Yeah, I know.
Opposite of quick. Wolves take the first one.
Wolves Club?
XSET takes the first one.
All right, well, there you go. We have a European team playing. We're in Europe. Can I hear you? There you go. We got Wolves. We got XSET on the other side of Classic UNA. On to our casters. Enjoy half an hour.
Thank you very much, Milos. And we find ourselves here in Berlin. A pleasure to be up in this balcony on this theater. I'm Fluke. That's up.
And I'm still here indeed, and it's going to be a massive quarterfinals to come up. I'm a little bit ahead of myself. Will EU be able to make sure that we have a guaranteed European finalist?
Well, that's it, because this is all NA really has left, regardless of the fact of whether they're a Brazilian team or not. It doesn't matter. The flag they come under here in the league was 4th NA seed, and yet that's all that they now have, and they only got here because there was a change in system. If it was head-to-head versus DZ, DZ would have had it, but round difference was the reason, and here we go in with the loud music, Clubhouse.
We're headed towards Club, a very basic map, step by step. You usually approach this on any given site, so fundamentals is what this comes down to some extent. Who will have the better fundamentals here today? Will it be Wolves or XSET? Soon, we'll find out. First, the band phase, of course. Are we going to see another Finka band, perhaps? Maybe?
Maybe.
We'll see in a second.
Maybe. It's curious. I think the fun thing about seeing these sort of teams go up against it, obviously, we have a lot about Wolves on Clubhouse. We have a lot about Wolves on about 3 maps.
Yes.
Because they don't really, they don't really do many others outside of that. Obviously, we've got a 0-for-1 on the side of XSET. And then, actually, curiously, Chalet, we don't really have anything.
No, that is being a bit left into the dark here. Now, Hibana will be the second band operator, so Heartbreach, as per usual, is going to be denied at least a little bit here on Club. Cade also removed, even though the Thatcher is available, not wanting to deal with these Electroclaws. So with that, only really Bandit left, and Mute, of course, to keep these walls shut.
And locked off with a mirror. It's Club. It's Club. Everybody knows Club. You don't have to really explain too much of the depths of Club, but it's probably better to paint the scene as if you've only just joined us as to why we have XSET and Wolves here. Skin of their teeth, Wolves. They haven't really been performing to the level that we wanted, not with any EU bias, but from EU production. We've seen them get to this position, and we were like, this is our EU team. This is the team.
This is the team that came in with that top seed, basically unchallenged for the majority of the season. Of course, they had that little bit of a slip up against Secret, which might have given them a bit of a shake. But either way, we're getting in away. First prep phase here. It's Wolves that set up their defense. We're headed towards the basement. There's multiple ways you can go for this. Sometimes you do see just that church execute. Triple wall gets opened up, so there's the motorcycle hatch. But we could also see a pure armory take. Kitchen hatch gets opened up. You make sure you have dirt. And after that, blue might be a nice little extra to have. Of course, we don't know yet what XSET wants to go for, but there is plenty of Heartbreach opportunity available as Finka stays on the board, but just changes hands. Thatcher as well. We see the potential of Heartbreach gadgets. Not the case this time, but of course, we do have 2 exothermics.
Okay, and if I'm going to say Wolves have been underperforming, XSET overperforming. 4 huge performances across the board from those that got them here, but you've seen Kino jump towards the top and be one of the top performers. It starts with a bit of pressure. Over towards the Jim and Jacuzzi side, they're looking for those loose players, looking for the loose roams. You have the extension, the Mutant, the plays against it. A steady approach here, round drop, and, well, Mowgli, can he slip and slink his way before things start to close around them?
You definitely don't want to be an entry def here this early on. You're playing on that basement. That's where the true fight comes down. So if pressure gets a bit too much, it's better to just fall back if you are a Wolves player. Now, CCTV has been opened up, and as we do see one of the Wolves players trying to return to a bit of a pressure point out there, XSET is currently trying to hold on many of these long angles on the outside, hoping that they might catch a roamer off guard.
I'm curious about how quickly XSET start to drive themselves into this. Because obviously we've seen them throughout groups and we see them lose the first game, and then from every single game afterwards, they took it by the scruff. Wolves, they found themselves battling an OT pretty consistently here, and all that came down to XSET's pace. It's been a bit slow across Club. Obviously, it's not their map preference. It's not where they want to bring the fight. But here, they're still sort of lost in the source. There's nobody that's holding onto Logistics window. Doesn't seem really like there's a bout of pressure coming onto the back of Jacuzzi. They're kind of just entirely stacked. And at this point, you're thinking, well, what are they going to do to try and actually take those Wolves players out of position? Not much.
Well, we've had 90 seconds now, and XSET, they need to make a decision. Are we going to continue this roam clear, or will we just hit the site? Now, Rise is coming up from the bathroom, is looking to find one of these players, but just on the wrong timing, slips away. Kuno now holds his exit, but there's a second player from Wolves coming around the corner.
And There they are. There's the kick cold. There's Mowgli almost caught out. He's able to slip his way down. Right suffers around the bathroom. It's Spirits. The Thatcher's trying to get a bit of retribution for the dropped hard destruction, but the kick going cold is the most important thing. A minute on. It can be recollected, but it's a dangerous door to do it on, especially if you have, once again, nobody else in that position. And that's something that XSET have done really, really well to get here, is always have a second body. Gomez decides he's going to see who and anybody is in the site, but Yoga isn't able to offer him any support. P4 at the bottom of blue takes him out of it.
Great first round start here for the Wolves so far. Diffuser drops still. The roamers up on the top floor, not having been droned out or cleared out. Rise now getting into a gunfight. Will find Spirits. It's a 2-on-5. Gomez drops as well. Diaz in a 1v5. He needs to go for an ace clutch in this first round if he wants to make sure XSET starts so strong.
Well, I said we needed to see a higher performance and a flawless. You can't get much higher than that. The opening round on the opening map, it's theirs. And for now, it's still theirs.
A bit of a struggle from XSET. They, figured out, okay, Wolves is trying to go for the roam here. Wasn't quite able to get the clear out. They managed to get all the way up until construction. And then they had to make a decision. 90 seconds have just passed. There's still 2, maybe even 3 players up on this top floor and middle floor. What are we going to do about it? It might be a bit too scrappy if they go for it straight away. So instead, they decided to go for the site, maybe a bit more directly. Just cut down to that first floor and let the top floor be what it was. That might have been the wrong decision there. And with that, we have that first round in the pockets of Wolves.
So this is a timeout. And we've got it on our side. I don't think it was actually fully put across there, but that's an XSET timeout after round 1. It's a technical one, apparently. They use the in-game timeout thing. It's a technical timeout.
So, as we head on, that first flawless round of Wolves, a small issue that needed to be fixed, but we're getting it away in just a couple of seconds again with round 2. Which,
you hope so.
We don't know where it goes yet. we can have a little bit of a view on where it's actually going to be headed. As soon as the issue
you can't spoil the surprise.
We're not going to spoil it. I'm just saying we can see it. Everybody can maybe see it now.
Squint.
Sharpen of eyes. There you go. Gym bedroom.
Gym bedroom. Gym bedroom. And hopefully the round will start rolling in just a moment. The thing about that, and it's always hard, you look at one round and you're like, what can we take away? By the one round at the beginning of a series, for me, XSET not being sure of where they wanted to go.
Yeah, there was roamers. They knew there was roamers. They just weren't quite able to deal with them in a quick and efficient manner. That Wolves to be out and about for a bit too long. And that kind of came back to bite them. So, that flawless round onto the pockets of Wolves. XSET, they need to lead them with a bit more speed. Make sure that you might be having that hot drone. Getting ahead of Spirits or Gomez, making sure that you are able to pick up 1 or 2 bodies. Force the Wolves to fall back towards the site so you do not have to worry about the rest of the build. And Clubhouse is a big map. If you need to clear out every single room by a drone, you're going to be taking quite a lot of time.
There's a bit of cheering.
There is a bit of cheering.
No, there it is.
Bibu.
There's Bibu. There's a lot of energy for Wolves.
Trying to start a couple of chants here.
It's a let's go Bibu.
Let's go Bibu, yes. Are we continuing with it?
We've already been tweeted by the NA audience saying they expected more.
Yeah, we have to say this. We got tweeted out by NA guys that our chants aren't good enough. So let's get creative, shall we? Sooner rather than later. Observer just called me out. Feels bad. Now, let's just be patient. We had that first round. XSET, they have a bit of time to talk about that first round. So did the Wolves, of course, but there's not much to talk about. Everything went quite well. They were able to shut down whatever XSET was tossing at them in that first round. And they would like to continue that way. They want to make sure that they get this first map under control. Some high fives are being handed out.
Hopefully that means we're back in soon.
Hopefully that does mean that we're getting started. Lee Loon is getting over as well, so that does mean that we are getting back into the game.
All right, cool. The second round.
The second round.
The second round, and we're in onto Gym. I bet you go. All right, Wolves, that was a hell of a start. Let's see how it continues at this point. A little bit of a break in momentum. Obviously, if you're new to that, the coaches couldn't speak to the players. The players had to have a breath and sort of go, what happened? Except the problem is nothing happened. You found yourself at the very end of a tether, and there was still no Wolves players on the sort of tip.
Frost being brought out, just of course to deny those winner hopping straight away.
10 seconds to insert.
Grenades or even some verticality will be able to take care of those mats, so it isn't the end of the world, but they are out there to prevent any quick push. You can either go for the Frost mat or you can go for the player on the other side of it, and that's a decision that has to be made. If you do not clear them out, you might be able to catch one or even two players out as a result. As we get going, one behind the rotation as well, so if Logistics falls, and they do use the rotation into the vault, you might be able to catch off one of those players, and that might just be the difference maker once it does come down to these last couple of seconds, and an attacker just jumps in and gets downed.
XSET, what did you talk about? Well, it seems like focusing towards the site. They're going a lot quicker onto these. The sort of catch windows, the positions to punish those loose players. You have to try and force P4, Mowgli across the top of the board. See if you can get them into a tricky situation, as well as this. Grenades, maybe going to play themselves underneath. Obviously, the Nook has a little bit more secrecy than the Finker, but there's still a lot of soft and a lot of positions around that to hold on to this. If they break their way through onto the sort of bathroom and the swing round, yep, that should be a BBU catch. Wrong side.
Middle. Just a bit too much in the middle there. So it's going to be the first exothermic gone. That's going to be alerting the rest of XSET. Hey, we need to deal with that door. We could just look through. You could have denied him from that bandit trick. So a bit of a mistake. You're more so inclined to watch CCTV, and it's of course the right choice because, you know, it goes both ways. You can look through that window. Someone can look towards you as Yoga will find Mowgli now.
Mowgli, first off the board, obviously came into this game as being one of the top gunners of the entire tournament and the only positive KD on the side of Wolves. So he's definitely got a little bit of work to make sure he keeps doing. There's the grenade over the top. There's Yoga finding out Rise on the far side, just keeping a watch on the flank. Another Wolves player falls. Just the Yoga holding onto the windows with the intel. They're trying to bite back, but they can't quite find the teeth around the player. P4. He's going to give himself a little bit more safety, a little bit more secrecy. There's still some pressure coming in underneath from the grenades, but with a minute on, they've been able to take 3 bodies and haven't even had to step foot in the site.
Now still someone on Jacuzzi balcony here, but P4 falls. Doesn't even fire out of his gun right there. Shinka, the last man standing, the plant's going down, but he gets shut down before a flawless round to respond to the flawless round that Wolves was able to bring earlier on. And now, round 3 to be underway, probably going to be CC or a run it back of the same site, which is completely different. Maybe Bar to come out next. Bar on stage? Possibility?
You're obsessed.
I'm obsessed with Bar on stage. I would love to see it come out from Wolves.
I think that round, and obviously it's still early doors, still very early doors for this showdown. It was better from XSET. They sort of shook off what happened on the first. We saw it. Obviously, the double stack up of the players down underneath. They made sure there was somebody watching for this side. Yoga was able to get 3 from it. The first was a drop and a swing round based on the intel. That, I mean, they just had an entire read on any movement inside the site. A great take from Kino, who, as I said, has been that MVP for the side of XSET throughout this tournament. A response for a response.
Now it is actually going to be Bar stage that is coming out, and if you want to have some little bit of context onto this side, the top floor is going to be important here. You want to make sure you keep control of construction, especially for the stage plant. If you do have control of that as defenders, you can use the hatch that is currently being portrayed onto your screen to deny any plant from happening. It's often where most gunfights will take place as well. The attackers will take care of CC, then they try and push on towards construction, leave 1 or 2 players out there, whereas the rest would start to try and go for a plant on the actual stage. Now, if you then, after that, lose that control of the construction area, that is going to be detrimental to your round. So, important to keep a hold of verticality here.
XSET starting their approach once again with these early sort of bites a little bit closer to home towards the site. Before the first round, the one that fell apart from them, it was a very slow build, and they seemed a little bit lost as to how to actually try and break their way through here. It's keen attention paid towards Rise inside logistics. The stretch of Bibu and P4, you want to try and take control of construction. You want to try and push them further and further apart. The Os is going to see if they can bring that roll those Talon shields around the corner, and just keep battering them. Because as soon as you've got control of that hatch, then you can get into stock, then you can get that wall open and see if you can try and stick a plant onto the stage.
2 minutes on the clock, plenty of timer for XSET. They start to push in, though. The Ossa could be a very good operator to use here. Just that shield for an extra bit of visibility. Put a bit of pressure down onto Wolves as well, who are, of course, onto that defense. Exothermic gets used to open up the con wall. And Mowgli going prone right next to the door. He's hoping to go for a bit of a surprise here. Whereas Gomez, he's using this talent shield to cover up the hatch. As I said before, it's crucial.
Wolves aren't giving them anything. They're playing to the time and playing to the space. They know that it's territory that they can still sort of contest in a weird no man's land, and that's the idea. They've spotted the Ossa shield. They'll expect somebody to suck their way around, so they cannot be entirely confident in holding the angles, but having that awareness, having that astuteness means that this push might be a little bit more dangerous. A very quick triple stack, they're making sure that that's an angle that they can slip and slink their way through. You can see some pressure. Mowgli going for a retake. There's entire Flood P4 with the swing round. DS gets one. Kina rotates back up with the kit to offer some support. They know how important it is to keep the territory, but as Bibu finds the feet of Diaz and gets that kit cold. A massive swing round from P4, puts it right back in the dirt. There's another player up on the side of the blue. Gomez is the one that's trying to make the distance. They're a little bit isolated. Wolves are just running amok inside the site. Rise! Out of the gym window, lifts the body and slams it back down. Gomez is gone as well. And Wolves refused to let the verticality fall.
That's it. We mentioned before how important it was to keep control of verticality here. Wolves, they saw the opportunity. They retook that top floor, even, lost Mowgli as a result. But after that, they managed to get the trades into their favor. Now it's only up to Yoga. In the site, not going to be able to do too much here. It's Wolves that will be getting their second round as he's being zapped to death just ever so slowly. The time is going to be running out. And that is Wolves. P4 with the ending kill. But I do have to question XSET. Why did you send the diffuser up? You could have sent literally everybody else.
Could have been anyone.
If you lose that diffuser out there where you did, that round is going to be over. And that's exactly what went on. You lost top floor, you lost that diffuser, and the Wolves are walking away with their second round.
It was that sort of idea that, to be fair, they've done really well. They run at you, XSET. If there's a fight, they're going to take it. And against teams like Wolves, who also sort of love to do that gameplay, that style, it becomes this sort of 5-on-5 aggression. Whoever gets the first usually is the one that at least has an eye left at the end of it. There was always another Wolf. There was always another corner and a window. And as soon as you're working on that detriment, I mean, look at this. He's coming up in a fight with 3 people tucked around all of the corners. Sure, he needed the kit, but there was still about a minute left around that time, roughly.
That's why I don't get why the diffuser went up there. I mean, of course, you want to go for a bit of support, but at least drop it down the staircase instead of on the top. Now we do have the actual tactical timeout to come through. That is going to be a 45-second timer where they have a bit of opportunity to talk.
Done.
It's done?
Yeah,
no more time?
I noticed it out the corner of my eye. It was an XSET one.
Of course. I mean, that round wasn't really anything too great from them there. I mean, they did have that flawless in round 2, but again, kind of picked apart during that third round. Wolves able to pick that one up. But we're headed back towards the basement here where the first flawless round took place. Wolves still on that defense with 3 more rounds. Let's see if XSET have anything else to bring here. Some new tricks to show to at least make life a little bit more difficult for the French team.
A blitz?
A blitz to come through is definitely a bit of pace.
I mean, it's a change of tack, and I think they need it. Obviously, they've now had their official tactical timeout. They've been able to have the conversation with the coach, and he's the one with the eyes on all of them. It's still very early. You're obviously looking at Clubhouse with 3 rounds deep, and their round was flawless. It was sort of this weird back and forth where every single round won has been total control. There hasn't really been any sort of contest as to who gets it at the end once the ball starts rolling.
And it's been kind of the case for all 3 of the rounds so far. So let's see if this one is going to be a bit of a blowout. Spirits with that blitz wants to go in quickly, waits for the opening to be made, and is going to push down dirt. A drone will be hot droning him through. Shinka gets the actual smoke out, but it's going to be way too far out. Somehow will make out alive though, and that means the dirt tunnel has fallen. But you are able to fall back to side as a result of it.
That's it. You can see all of the Wolves players generally have started to make their way back to offer some support, a quick read, and they've just left Rise. On his own, the Belgian, isolated from the rest of the French, is going to see what trouble he can cause on the top floor. There is still work to be done, but it's a quick take of dirt, and it makes your take over the top 2 floors a lot quicker as well. If we remember, XSET, it was around the minute marker that they were still sort of stacked up and not sure how to put the pressure onto gym and bedroom. They should get a cleaner idea, and Well, it's steady now as they find themselves angling towards blue, where also things then started to fall apart.
Time is slowly starting to tick away. The first minute has passed. Twitch drone taken out, the first one. Still one left that they can go for, though. He's looking to eye up for some aggression right here. Here's the kitchen door open up. Now the summers are going off as well. He has some verticality. He can stop this from happening. He needs to be quick, though. I believe he's too late. The hatch has opened up. But due to him not responding, he might be able to get a kill as a result of it.
Well, there's the reveal of Mowgli heading down the stairs. It seems like the Blitz is pulling his way out to offer a slightly different solution. No, he's going to go back through. There's obviously the gate and a little bit of a Banshee on the other side of it, so he's not going to be quiet, but if he's still causing a riot, then it's going to be a problem. Pre-fires, peppers, and angles, XSET, they've got the opener here. P4's taken off. Gomez round on the side of blue, looking for the next. Yoga suffers, but there's Gomez. Tears the head off of the player and opens the angle down towards the back line. Rise wants to steady his way on, keeping a keen eye towards the rotation, but I don't think anyone's going to hit it. He's got to try and offer some support to the players that are down there already. Actually, one's about to come through. Did he get the call? Kino with the kit. Oh, he's gone! Cold kid on the end. Gomez is still doing the work down inside blue. The Blitz has got to make a very quick hot foot towards it. Shinka! He's able to get another little bit of cementing down. The recollection has come 30 seconds, and they're going to opt for a slightly different tack. Try and take the single man, or potentially push the main stairs. Pull apart what they know and what they don't.
It is Rise that is heading over towards the blue area. One way or another, we do not quite know yet. Spirits will make it through. Rise gave away his position, but it doesn't seem like they were fully aware of it. Now they're definitely watching him, though. Plant is going down. Yoga will drop as well. It's going to be a 1-on-2 situation, but one is going to be a shield. It's just a pistol around the corner.
The flash has come. They know they're holding off the player. Shinka's trying to smoke out a bit of the rotation, but they've got smokes of their own. The longer this ticks on, the more powerful a Blitz gets, but Shinka is just as powerful. Tucked into a corner, Spirits. He's going to do everything to try and buy himself as much time as possible. The two remaining Wolves, they've got to try and do a 3-2-1, and let's go at the same time. The first is Spirits', and now it's a 1 versus 1 with a shield. Rise is only a pocket full of seconds. He had an idea of maybe going through the soft. He's just got to take the fight. He gets them wounded, but it's Spirits.
He realized it as well as he was shaking no with his mouse there. Spirits will be able to get the clutch done with the Blitz. And it brings it at 2-2-2. Equalized in the score. Bottom floor has fallen. The gym and bedroom will be up next. Well, what operators will we see? What kind of strategy will we see this time around? Last time we did see the Bender trick be quite successful. You cannot let that happen again. You need to get two people out on that balcony. One for the support, making sure CC is not being watched. And there's one way to do it. It's just to open up CCTV wall. Just to ensure there is pressure down there. You can watch it from the balcony. You can make sure no one gets to that window. And then highway is safe to play. You can stop anybody from walking up too close to the breach. Now, there's not going to be an actual bandit this time, though. So no need to truly worry. We do see the Thorn coming out. So the Razor Bloom gadgets might be of some impact. Could be even comboed up with some of the Frost Mats.
As I said, even though they've taken their tack time out, this game has generally been really tit for tat. That was close. And I'm wondering if that sort of heralds the idea that XSET's maybe started to tweak some things together about the approach. The Blitz getting in really quick was obviously almost a big part of that, but being the full stop in the end sort of dictates that it was a bit of a pocket play. And it's not something you can bring out every single time. The attention here before was flawless. They're well aware of that. It's actually Wolves' chance to have to try and step up here before they, for the first time, find XSET potentially one round ahead.
That's what we'll be looking for. They want to be ending this attacking half on a 4-2, and if that's not possible, a 3-3 at least. Whereas the Wolves, they are looking for that same scoreline, just in favor for themselves. Time slowly being wasted, doors being opened up. That's just to put some pressure down into, potential roamers on the side of Wolves. As the Nuck is starting to push in, just right up the main stairs, potentially with that drone going ahead. Could be dangerous, but you want to use those grenades, which you do not want to die with 2 grenades in pocket, not in this meta.
The first one didn't actually catch it. They're not trying to play against the trick. They just missed, but this might be the trick. Gomez, he's gone undetected. The camera pings into life. It's the wrong side of a hot ping. Mowgli had the focus and the awareness and pulls the player apart. Does he know of the second? Spirits gonna try his luck at the rumble on the top of the French stairs. There's a little bit of unaware. You can see Mowgli. He's tucked onto a corner. He should get the audio swing around the roll there of the EMP from inside. The drop of the drone to bait the play in the swing. There's still the angle, the pressure, and the pre-fire comes against the bow of Spirits' face. He wants something given to him, and Wolves are very tempted to play that game. As I said, both teams love to lean in to this firefight, but it's a tricky one.
It's going to be the hatch used, though, from Yoga. Wolves shut down Mowgli. Suddenly, there is an opening for Spirits to try and move through. The other player has just moved into the little vault area. Beautiful shot onto Bibu as well. Will shut him down before he gets traded out. 3-on-3. They know someone is still up on the hatch. Shinka needs to pay attention towards the area, but he's also being pushed by Kino at the very same time as it shuts him down.
Shinka, he is coming alive this series. The bulletproof gives a lot. DS and P4 give it back, leaving just Yoga, the man who got the kill from the top of the hatch, rotates round. 49 seconds. Plenty of time and a couple of drones, but they're not really going to be able to do much. The bulletproof has all the calls. The one just tucked around. There it is.
Beautifully played from P4 there, and it was a very scrappy round coming out here. XSET really trying to push and make the most out of those main staircases. And once they sent up 2-3 players there, they were able to finally find a kill. It's just that Wolves was able to at least get a bit more trading going their way. And now they lead again, 2-3, with the opportunity to lock it off with that 2-4. We'll head back towards the bar and stage area. Now, we did see that go down last time. It was the top floor that had fallen initially, but Wolves took it back under control quickly with a quick 3 or 4-man push coming around the corner. Drop it in the diffuser as XSET has left it there. And that is something that XSET need to be better with. They cannot lose the diffuser up on the top floor again, trying to provide support to those out there. As we again see Shinka, unfortunately taken out before he got 2 kills though.
He's that one bulletproof. The single bulletproof cam stacked on the top. They didn't really have the direct route through, or didn't take the second to punch it, because Wolves kept that door so exceptionally dangerous. Whether it was the player buried behind the bed of Bibu on the far side, or the close corner held by Shinka, that camera stayed, and that camera revealed literally every split second of anything XSET tried or thought about trying. One more attempt here for Wolves to swing around themselves, I guess, break the trend. Every single round has been traded out of this series so far.
The last 2 have been a bit closer though, as the first 3 rounds were pretty one-sided. Last 2 were a bit of a coin toss. Could have gone either way. And now, XSET looking to tie things up again. They want to make sure that 3-3 is on the board, because otherwise Wolves are going to find themselves at a bit of an advantage headed into that second half. Now, walls are being opened up onto Jacuzzi. I believe the Wolves players are starting to fall back slightly. They need some support, though, from the highway, just to make sure there is no trickery going on.
We didn't really get a huge amount of attention paid onto the Jacuzzi side in the back end of this last time. It allowed Wolves the confidence to sort of hold quite aggressive angles, caught out. P4 suffered. Will they get the final shot? The breach is there as well. They're waiting for the ping. Diaz could very easily swing this, and he does. Before anyone can get the pick back up there, it was an unfortunate idea, but very well played by XSET.
We said it before, someone needs to be on that window to stop them from opening up. Mowgli's going quite aggressive, finds an open CCTV. Spotted out that Selmas is still being tossed in. Drones coming through, haven't actually seen him, so he managed to sneak by. This might be absolutely huge. He might be able to shut down Kino.
If this drone misses him, or if the Finker comes first, the Finker came first. There's the reveal on the drone, too little, too late. Once the next fight actually goes back to his position, they've slipped their way through, gone back. Bit of a dangerous stance. The pre-fire comes round on the corner. He's trying to find the angle. It's such a dangerous take. He cannot quite make it out. Kino has the lock, but Shinka gets Yoga. In the meantime, on the opposite side, that puts Diaz alone onto Jacuzzi. Spirits has got to rotate his way back round. It's still worth remembering the site is down below. All of this time, all of these fights, and the kit being up here as well. That was how tragedy happened last time. Sprayed through, a trade out. Diaz and Morales, one apiece. Spirits, he's going for the swing, gets the take, a 2 versus 1. Bibu, he's all that's left. Do they know he's hiding around in logistics? What's the measure of the map the man has? Does he have the cams down below? They're trying to hold an angle and find it. The kit's been recollected. It seems like they have an awareness. Spirits is going to swing from the logistics construction breach. There's a pre-fire. There's the pop. There's one. There's no!
Almost finds the second, but XSET are able to tie it back up. And good call there from whoever made it. We haven't cleared out logistics. We need to make sure we at least give it a bit of a check. As soon as the Elders start firing, they knew exactly what they were up against here. We find ourselves 3-3, all tied up in this first map. Could be going either way. But it is going to be Wolves heading over towards the attack now. Can they make the difference here?
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Or will it be XSET that show some superb defenses against the French team? Now, there's multiple ways to go at this. Sometimes you do see a bit of a roam, extensions towards the top floor. But you might also find out that there is going to be a full turtle setup. We have to wait a couple of seconds before we find out which one it is. And as you see, Diaz here with that final kill, taking down Bibu. We managed to get the first pre-fire down to the wire, and almost managed to get the second one as well. That was very close.
An even half. And now it's the pressure onto Wolves. I would say Club, with the lead in that we've had on attack, Club being their map and the sort of stretch that we've got ahead of us. Wolves have to really start trying to put a bit of the difference in, potentially, on Mowgli. He's been a little bit quieter this game than previous, but thankfully and luckily for Wolves, a couple of quiet players have started to show up, P4 and Shinka especially.
Now, there is not going to be any bandit tricking going out for the side of XSET. Of course, you are going to be able to open up most walls. Even though we do have a double hard breach ban, Thatcher is open, so everything you want to get opened up should be able to be opened up, and unless you don't see XSET really try and contest it. Instead, bringing out the Azami to try and go for a bit more of a maze-like structure.
So one is still holding onto the top of red. They've otherwise rotated the other players off. It's now cleared out. Yoga didn't want to stick around without any other support. It's the same sort of thing that obviously we saw the pressure before, but here XSET hasn't wanted to risk the gamble. They felt the pressure coming through from Wolves, knew the breach, and it wasn't the tempo that they wanted to try and dance to. Wolves, they've got time to try and make up here. There's steady approach and a redistribution of utility onto the site itself, building themselves a bit of a box around blue.
Yeah, the keeper barriers are really great to, give yourself that little bit of extra. I actually like the keeper barrier you just saw there onto the blue wall. You might ask why, but that's because the player on top of blue, like the baby steps, can be shooting right through, can be making sure that they have an angle into the side. That keeper barrier stops that from happening. The player right behind the bar is going to be safe.
Wolves, they're still not entirely convinced. They're getting themselves all the data and intel, and here comes the first bit of pressure towards a player. It's a shotgun. Spirits takes the head and pretty much everything else off of Mowgli. The C4 catches nobody else, but he's done his business. He's going to make sure that he can try and cause some problems later elsewhere. It was pretty well played in position, but here now even more pressure onto Wolves. They're breaking their way through onto the main stairs itself. They've got sight of the shield and the wall that might be able to get popped open with the Selmas. The Thatcher's there too.
A lot of rotations being made here. Wolves really want to set themselves up to allow them to play with as much verticality as they possibly can. Frag grenades are being tossed in as well just to try and relocate these players. Get rid of the shields wherever you can. The Selmas are starting to head off elsewhere. It's Bibu that takes care of that Mujam, allows him to actually get the drones onto the site now, and that might be huge. Selmas are being set up, but the Mujam are still on the other side of that wall. It's going to be stopping that from happening. EMP comes in, but an impact is in the hands of Yoga. Should be used successfully indeed. You see it there, and that means the triple wall will stay close for now.
Well, that grenade gets caught out, and so does Rise. Spirit's able to pop from the bottom, but it's Shinka that fights back. They still have all the presence in blue, but that's where the kit is as well. And there's only a pocket full of seconds. Gomez with a swing, Diaz with one more, and Shinka falls into the lion's nest. For the first time, XSET this game move one in the lead.
First time as well that the team has been able to pick up 2 rounds in a row. Now let's see if they can try and build some extra momentum out of this. Can they get some extra rounds to follow up with their just gained lead? Now, Wolves, they just need to stay calm. It is just 1 round on your defense opener that you have lost. Shotgun is going to be hard to challenge there, even with an LMG. You need to get these drones out. Use some of that utility. Grenades around the corner, or even flashbangs. Make sure you time it all right. Because this again was like one of these lockout rounds like we've seen in the very first 3.
Now XSET statistically, I believe across the tournament, were the top attacking team in what is a very driven meta, and it wasn't that impressive, the opening game, compared to how they've played throughout this tournament so far. But if they start to find a little bit more life here on their defense, if they're able to turn what has been not their problem, but not their stronger statistical set into a bit of an asset, we might find ourselves in a very tricky Chalet a little bit later.
We for sure could. But neither of these two teams want to be having that pressure upon them off Chalet. No matter how good you are, or if you haven't played it as much, you want to make sure you get that first map under control.
Wolves, what can you change and tweak here? We're finding ourselves for the first time onto CC. It's not the most common, as it's sort of been a little bit of a problem solved time and time and team again. Mowgli, he's tucked into a firefight. There's a barricade quickly placed. There's the pressure of a swing round on a window, and the drone's just going to reveal the rotation of Gomez wider and wider. He's got a little bit of safety, and he's got a little bit of support here from Rise. But again, this army is just causing continual problems. You never really know what window is going to be the one that pressures you, and that's what XSET are leaning into here. They're forcing them against it, and Mowgli forces back. Spirits and P4! Diaz taken off the board as well. There was a bit of a jump out, but nobody was caught. So pre-fire the angle, Mowgli. That's what Finka does. Kino, he's tucked in a really tricky situation right now. If they get the read on where he is, it could all fall apart, and it does!
And another flawless round to hit the board here, this time in favor of Wolves. And another lockout round and blowout round to come through early on in this half. Equalize the score again. Stop XSET from building too much momentum and make sure it might go your own way. There's still some fun on the side of Wolves there. Just discussing that last round, see what they can change for the upcoming one. Again, if you have a flawless round like that, that must give you some of that energy that you want to carry across towards the next, towards the current one. So we're headed towards the gym and bedroom.
Do you want a fun fact?
I want a fun fact. Throw them at me.
Wolves have the highest clutch statistic as a team.
Was it like 20%?
A ludicrous amount. 2 of their players are in the top 5 for pulling off clutches, 1vX's. It's really been, and I can't emphasize this enough, skin of their teeth. Wolves have not really had a clean game throughout this. There's only 2 that didn't go into OT. One was a win, one was a loss. They don't like it easy.
You know, they just want to put up a show for
They
viewers.
make it stressful.
They make it stressful, that's for sure, but they, also put up that show as a result with it. But it's actually quite funny. I was reading through it. Someone sent it over towards me. 12.5% is the average clutch rate for the current teams that are still left in the tournament right here. So chance of starting. Wolves will need that energy. Want to put back 2 of themselves against XSET to retake that lead, because right now it has been quite back and forth. XSET has been able to turn that tide, though, ever so slightly.
Once again, Gomez playing quite quick against the breach and the broach onto those windows. The approach of Wolves is sort of cut off at the pass. They're not going to hand them any free angles. They're going to sort of make them get in close work for it, because that's when we've seen XSET do a little bit of business. Pulls back. Yoga wanted to see if he could get a little bit of a lucky strike, but the upside down repel means that the player isn't going to be in a position to be shot in the face here. Some have stacked up towards the side of Jacuzzi. You can see Wolves, they're discussing, redistributing. They want to instead try and pinch and pull some of this control away from the opposite side, where it's a little bit easier to break.
Now we'll be opening up onto Con. They need to take care of logistics, though, if they want to be putting full use in that. I think Rise is putting himself in a position to do that later on, as the majority of Wolves is now around the Jacuzzi balcony. It will be opened up in just a matter of seconds. We might be seeing a bit of a quick pace here.
I'm kind of hoping it. There's the grenade round. Going to see if it can hit the corner, and it does. Mowgli bounces that right into the bathroom. He's going to see if he can follow up. Shinka doesn't let go. P4 finds one in and amongst the opposite side. Diaz forced out of position and finds a fake take, but it's instantly battled back. Yoga, in the blink of an eye, has lost it all.
And another lookout round coming in from Wolves, and I said it. They wanted to go for some pace there. They open it up. The grenade is perfectly cooked and timed as well. And they find that opening kill. They don't stop from there. They make sure that they, as the Wolves are starting to come out, keep that up.
And they are wooing for the Wolves.
It's the Wolves howl.
The Wolves howl.
Beautiful.
I was so excited for an EU audience. They're not disappointing.
Not yet. No, they're definitely not disappointing. Now, 4-4 turns into 4-5. Wolves retake that lead that they had just lost for a moment. And XSET will take us towards the basement, where Wolves did struggle before. So there is an opportunity for redemption here. There is that opportunity for Wolves to show that they can win on any given site that XSET throws at them. Will they start with a roam clear, or are they heading directly towards the side? I mean, the last round was quite effective, but you know, usually you don't go for a quick round twice. Usually. As I say that, you know,
it's a special
might have
occasion.
just jinxed it.
All right, Wolves, that's 2 rounds in a row. XSET were just able to do that before. Can you be the first to make it 3? And can you be the first to actually put a little bit of a distance? P4 almost put in the dirt there from the spray out. But is able to slip himself to safety with the breach. Spirits is going to try and run out this instantly. If the Thermite's unaware, well, they just get it at the last second. Bivu caught out. He couldn't quite get the break through the breach. Mowgli's going to see if he can get some bite back. There's one. There's a second. There's a... Oh! Diaz is maybe just a little bit lucky to get that positioning, but it's XSET. They have that body balance. They have themselves back towards the site. However, only about 50 seconds has passed.
There's plenty of time for the remaining attackers, and after Spirits went that aggressive, they kind of pushed Wolves to go for a bit of pace. Make sure that Mowgli had to get in a bit deeper, assure themselves that they could be going for these trades. Now, 4-5, Wolves still in that lead, 2 minutes to go, 3-on-3. Bit of hard breach left on the side of P4, 3 Selmas. Have a decision to make. Where are you going? What hatches will you want to have opened up, or are you just going to go for a horizontal push?
It's that sort of takeaway right now from this round. They've obviously, as you said, lost the Thermite, but the Thermite was going to use an exothermic and did on the top floor anyway. At this point, the breach is just going to have to be a little bit more focused. Blue turned into a firing range. They still want that option, because what you're up against now, you're probably not going to have enough to be able to get confident and comfortable dropping your way and trying to fight against the mute jammers. Even though you still have the structure to break apart that structure, that's what they also have too. You're looking at a Azami, you're looking at a smoke still on the board in the hands of Kino, who is a wizard with that operator, and that's something that they don't want to play no magic. Wolves instead, some focus on the back end.
Opening up dirt as well, keeping their options open. Slowly moving around, not making too much noise, trying to bait out some of the utility as they do. P4 sneaking through dirt. There's a barricade on the other side he needs to get through first. We'll give away his position, we'll give away his plans, but he might be waiting for the rest of Wolves to be positioned to go for that push.
Oh, there was a reveal, and there's Kino. Just gets the tuck down. It's going to put the smoke to stop the movement onto the side of blue as well. There's the ping on the player. It buys himself a confidence that they're not going to refrag, which is obviously where they lost players before. The long-arm grenade. Get a full catch onto anyone behind it, but another canister comes through. The barb has to be broken. XSET, they're holding themselves at their 3 different angles. Kino's behind the armory case, and Rise is trying to find a way to force him out of that. Sprays and scrapes over the side. He has so much, keeping them further at bay, and the cross angle. Wolves found themselves once again in the firing line of blue. Recollected the kit. Not enough time to really find a fight. XSET, they keep it going.
They keep it going, keep us at 5-5 here. And now the round that will decide who will be at a map point. Round 11. As we are all equaled up, it's some of these two teams, one of these two teams, that's going to be able to put even more pressure onto the other. Because if you win round 11, you put yourself on 6, it means that if there is a little bit of a slip up in round 12 from the other team, the round and map will be over. And you take that in control. We headed towards CCTV, a site we do not very often see anymore, as it is very step-by-step. Attackers have an incredibly high win rate here, due to the fact that you just open the CC wall, you get control of the garage, make sure you have the rafters. And what else is there really to do for the defenders after that? Sure, they might be able to get some explosives in from launch, from underneath, but at some point those run out as well. You can also just send an attacker down to keep control of that. There's relatively little you need to do to go for a plant here, and that's what makes it so successful for the attackers. Especially with the Monty that's coming out for Rise right now, it's going to be very easy to clear out the rafters.
It's the point of this, is Wolves, do you really have to take it to overtime every game?
I mean, at this point, it's kind of their identity, right? It's like they want to make sure that they're bringing it to the absolute last moment here. It's a double bit of a spawn peak.
Yeah, 2 players attempting it, but nobody is actually over on that side, so they'll have to tuck tail and pull themselves back around. Instead, it's more of a direct focus towards it once again. Last time we were here, it was obviously a pretty clean sweep. Ooh, not going to be this time. Mowgli, first gone. They lose the pocket Selmas, they lose any control there, and they keep a big bit of control on the opposite side. Gomez is going to rotate his way back round. They have punch holes and attention. It seems like Wolves are going for that old traditional step-by-step CC and then potentially the rafters.
Rise is still too far out to actually have some pressure with the actual Montaigne. So drones are just coming out, they're trying to pre-place them. Rise is still on his drone as well, trying to give out some information to the rest of his team. Keepers are being deployed. Gomez is playing in construction. There is still a player out in the bedroom as well, so there is the opportunity for Wolves that if they're quick enough, they only have to face 2 or 3 players onto the direct side. Now, as the multi starts to push up, Spirits will be aware. There is 2 impacts. There is a drone currently being watched. They will have absolute complete control and knowledge of where Spirits will be. Extra magnets will be shut up here. Impact as well, trying to stall Rise. A little bit of damage done, but nothing too much yet. Why do you unshield Rise? That's the wrong moment to do so. The feet get taken out. Spirits gets a second. And XSET look like they might be able to put themselves onto map point.
The first was a gift for Spirits, and the second, he wanted seconds. That really was a great bit of control over the top, but you do have a couple of questions as to why the Monty dropped. Bibu and Shinka. All that's left, the old classic Thermite Thatcher duo, but with 1:08 left on the board and still a lot to do and still a lot of players to get through and no real way to force this player out. I mean, it's another for Spirits. Shinka stops them having the 4K in the time of their life on the top rung, but well, a scrappy spray down towards Lounge and the drop, 50 seconds, and they know where that player is coming from. That door is firmly locked and the rafters are retaken.
This might turn into a bit of a tactical timeout here for Wolves. Plenty of time, not really anything they can do about it. Kino goes a bit aggressive on the outside. Shinka makes his position known, jumps in and gets shot down. It's Yoga with that final kill. And now, are we going to see a talk from the side of Wolves? Because it is 6-5. It is a very crucial round. If you lose this one, you lose map 1.
I believe so. I would be massively surprised if they don't, because, you know, although it is obviously Club, it's Wolves' map, XSET have sort of bit themselves back. They've never really let this one leave their hands. There's little slip-ups, little mistakes from the side of Wolves, as we see, but then that sort of duck in, that drive, that bit of control from XSET, where they refuse to let things go. It seems like they're starting to piece together how Wolves are tending their approach. It's a learning and a guessing game.
P4 having an incredible game, by the way. 12 kills onto 6 so far. Let's go, Wolves coming out. They will need it. One more round for them to bring it to OT, just to make it a little bit tougher upon themselves and their opponents. And it looks like we'll be headed towards the gym and bedroom for that 12th round. XSET are on map point here. They could be taking Club, put themselves one leg into the semifinals.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused.
They managed to make it happen. Gym and bedroom will be the sides. It is Wolves still on the attack. What will their pressure points be? What will their strategy be? Are they pushing in from Jacuzzi straight? Are they going to take CC under control and push towards construction after that? Or will we see an XSET-like push where they just go up the main stairs and hope for the best?
I mean, at this point, it's sort of back and forth for the side of Wolves. They've had their team talk. They're a team that sometimes does risk it all for just a drop of round. But Wolves, they are one round away from potentially finding themselves on a very tricky Chalet. Chalet, a map that, well, if you needed a VOD on it, there's probably no other team where you can get more control over the game that they've played it, both in their run in EUL and in this tournament already. XSET locking themselves in potentially one more round is all they need to be able to take this away from Wolves and put a huge bit of pressure. And it starts over on Strip.
Bibu headed towards the con wall. The outside one wants to open that one up to at least elevate the pressure a little bit towards the defenders of XSET. Mowgli got down there. Did he just fall off the roof? I think he fell off the roof. There's no way, right? I mean, I'm quite confused about that one. He's still alive though, luckily, but no more opportunities to go DBNO. So needs to make sure he uses the remaining adrenaline surge as well. Bibu is receiving a bit of pressure. Not quite sure from where though.
Yeah, they're trying to get themselves formulated here. You can see Wolves talking and moving and wanting to find an inroad. The drones are steadily rolling, and there's a bit of confusion as the start of the play. And that gets popped. Diaz is underneath, hoping to either catch a drone or anybody else, but they're not going to offer themselves just yet. Instead, a retake. Mowgli around Lounge gets himself a little bit more picked up, and still some pressure on the far end. Maybe they thought that there was another loose player inside and underneath, but it's gone at this point. A canister is what's going to meet them, as XSET is still happy to kind of just hold position.
This time there's no grenade instantly to follow up onto the bathroom player. Of course, there is no bathroom player as well, but P4 is playing below. Needs to be a bit careful of the main stairs here. Spirits is waiting. 2 grenades in pocket. You want to use these as depth charges. You want to get players out from underneath, and as the first gets tossed in from Rise, they know no one's going to be on the rotation, as Gomez takes a lot of damage.
There it is. A couple of pairs of grenades now underneath, and you can see XSET sort of still a little bit further away from the site, pushed further and further up, but Spirits is going to try and meet them with the pop of the shotgun. That one doesn't have a connection either. There's a lot of dedication to players, and that one's going to not connect with the shield. Just a little bit undercooked, so it bounced off. And Wolves, once again, find themselves pretty much out of pockets of a grenade, a single one left. And where are you going to try and roll it here? Spirits is still happily rolling in this position. He hasn't got a C4. He's looking for the fight down on the long range. Wolves, you're sort of looking at them wondering when they're actually going to start the swing round. That one's caught out. Kino, he doesn't really have anywhere to go, so he's just going to take the damage. Spirits, he's going to get caught. No, he's not! Removes the head of Bibu, finds a second! Spirits takes care of them, rises on the shoulder. He's looking for another fight. The shotgun's a bit out of range, but he can't risk it because he's so injured. There's the end of him. Shinka, but 20 seconds here. Wolves, they're 1 body down. They're 2 bodies down. They're almost 3. P4 creeps his way through. There it is. Diaz with the lock over. Shinka's gone too. And XSET take Clubhouse.
The first map will be XSET. That means that they are going to be having the extra life. Of course, they can afford to lose that next map. But if they win it, they will be down into the semi-finals and make sure that NA's hopes and dreams can continue for this event.
NA, you're 1 up, but you're 1 left. Let's see if that continues. We'll take a quick ad break before we're back with the depth.
Welcome back, friends, and yes, our North American squad were able to take map number 1. XSET set themselves up for success, and I have 2 annoying little pains on the other side of this desk.
Little?
Help me out with the
Berlin sounded a little quiet after that one, Jacob.
No one's cheering at all?
Quiet out there.
Ooh, who won the first map, huh? Who got it done? Like I said, okay, to be fair, can we all boo Jesse because he at least thought Wolves were going to win? He got it wrong.
I mean, I thought they did least win their map pick. He's literally not on your side. Anyways.
That's true, I'm not.
No, he is just trying to play you, and you fell for it so easily. Man. XSET make it through for map number 1. Now, let's talk about kind of the plays that went down in all of this here, Jesse, because XSET looked like they had control.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a weird first half, right? We got to see the defensive side from Wolves first, and they played a really aggressive, Wolves style of defense, right? They like to play all over the map. They like to play hyper aggressively in the way that they like to take a lot of those fights. Mowgli did Mowgli things. Sometimes it worked. Often it didn't. It felt like some of those opening deaths really did struggle. We've got the highlight going now, though, and what I really wanted to highlight as well was Spirits as an individual. He had so many good clutches. This was the first one where it ends up being a 1v2 that he's able to work alongside Diaz with on the blitz. First time his teammate goes down, but Kit is on the ground. Spirits has planted it, not used a single blitz charge yet.
Any of them yet, yeah.
He's still just going to be trying to win this 1v2 as a blitz. This should be very difficult. Maybe he'll help out with the utility there. Shink it down to the pistol. Rise is going to try to take this fight. Again, 4 charges still. You'd expect him to get blind at some point here. But he still doesn't seize the feet, and somehow Spirits clutches out, and that's not the only time. We come around here, he doesn't actually win this clutch, but he gets down to a 2v1, and I really like the way he works with Diaz. Focus on his position. Look at that great little pinch onto Rise. And they don't necessarily know where Bibu is in this final 2v1, but the highlight still remains that Spirits is a great player in these late round moments. He's always in the right spot, and he's doing a great job working with his teammates to win these rounds that matter the most.
Other thing to bear in mind was that one time he got the 3K rafters while Wolves tried pushing up with a Monty of all things. If you fail with a Monty on a rafters push, what are you doing? Especially if it's one guy getting 3 kills. It's a little embarrassing for the Wolves. It does go to show exactly how locked in Spirits is, and sometimes we had questions. I think even I had questions because he wasn't one of the higher rated players on XSET through the course of the group stage, especially where he and Gomez are supposed to be around the top. But still, he topped the scoreboard here, 12 and 10. He's just doing what he does.
Yeah, you got to call back to that Monty play from Rise on Rafters. Maybe you should watch some Sapper gameplay from the last matchup. That was some decent Monty play.
That or some classic Anaton gameplay from SI.
Even back to that, sure. Yeah. But there were certainly some problems there coming through. Again, I want to highlight Mowgli. He was in 8 opening engagements in this 12-round game. That's so many opening engagements. And the fact that he only went 4 for 4... I mean, it's fine, right? You're equal, but I still feel like there were a lot of times where he was the opening death. They just didn't need to die because of the position he was playing.
So, some issues to look back on here for Wolves, despite this being a 7-5 victory for XSET. That's map number 1 in this series. I want to start setting this up for our next map. And first up, can we pull up those map bands just to refresh everybody's mind and how things have gone down in that way? And we were talking about, Clubhouse and Chalet, map number 2. It doesn't seem like the greatest pick for XSET just because of Wolves and what they've done over the past few months on those specific maps. But hey, it worked on Club. It was tight. It came down to the last couple rounds. But what about Chalet? Now, XSET's pick. Are there any numbers that we can work with?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Milos. Yes, XSET have played this map twice in the first 2 weeks of the NAL. A loss at TSM followed by a win over Parabellum. It did feel like they kind of worked on their mistakes in that game. They were able to bounce back. I do think they have a pretty solid Chalet, especially because they went up against a Parabellum team that is notorious for being so good on that map, and they put them in the dirt. So it's nice to see that little start, but it's been a long time since we've seen XSET play this map.
Months.
Yeah,
we've seen them play this. It's literally been since the opening of Stage 1. Which for a lot of people is a lot longer than you might give it credit for. So as far as I'm concerned, Wolves seem like they stick out a little bit more because their playtime on the map is far more numerous over the course of the past 5 months. The only issue is they still have the exact same win percentage. Both of them are only 50% win rate on this map over the entire span of the season.
I mean,
in Oregon.
Oregon?
We got only just a bit of time before we go to break. So.
Well, can I say something quick about Chalet?
Go ahead.
I think XSET really had a decision to make when they chose their map here, right? They could have either chosen something that Wolves have not played because they have so many permaban maps, take something that they're not familiar with. Instead, they went for a map that Wolves played twice already in the group stage. So they're relying on their VOD review power here. They're relying on their ability to read what Wolves did and counter it. So I really want to see a good understanding of the way Wolves play the game from XSET this game. Otherwise, this map ban phase was a huge mistake from XSET.
2-0 and A?
I said on Twitter it was going to be 2-0 XSET, and I will stand by that. 2-0 XSET.
Jesse, are you biting the bullet again?
Listen, there's no way Wolves get 2-0'd in front of their home crowd. They'll get a pity map.
Oh, a pity. Did you hear what he said? He had a pity map. Come on.
It's a pity map.
Look,
wow.
XSET fans, anybody's in here? XSET?
Couple,
really?
yeah. It's a couple.
Any Wolves fans? All right, that's all we need. We got French fans also in here. So there we are. Let's take it quick. Our casters are getting ready up on the other side. So how about we cool down for a moment and then toss it to them? What do you think?
Cool.
Feels like a good idea.
All right, let's do it then. We'll take a quick one, and then we'll be back for our matchup. See you in a bit.
Willkommen zurück, Berlin. Wie geht es dir? I don't speak German. Come on. I was going to say. I speak a little bit, so I wanted to give it to you.
Yeah, you gave it a go.
I gave it a go. It took a while, but I was glad to see so many people here. We are getting into the second map very soon here between Wolves and XSET. Are you ready?
Am I ready?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Is the crowd ready?
I don't know. You go ask them.
Are you ready? Are you ready, crowd? Come on. Does sound like a yes. So let's get into Chalet just very soon. Now, if you somehow have missed the first map, either people here or at home watching, XSET have managed to win that one. XSET have managed to put that one on the board. The Wolves are one down. They need to fight back, and this is their opportunity to do so.
I mean, it's not just their opportunity, it's their last one left.
It is their last one.
They've got to find their way into some sort of setup and position, and that's the only sort of drive forward.
The howls are coming back out. How to support. As we're waiting for that final moment where we get in and see who's going to be able to take that very first round.
There may be a technical.
There might be a bit.
There may be a moment. We built up a lot of the rave music, and then the rave was postponed.
It's like when the drop is coming, you know?
Yeah, it's
and
like
it's just
the drop is coming, and
the drop's almost there, and no. We're not getting the drop just yet. We're waiting, giving some people to get the opportunity to get back to the venue. After they just took a quick bio break, got some drinks, some snacks.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well, obviously. We see it when people are in, when the games are rolling. This place is, it's round. And it's only the first day. Second game, first day.
I'm going to get fuller from here on. More crowded, more loud. Yes, like that. Come on. Who was that? Raise your hand.
It's like one.
Who was it? Oh, let's go. It's Gabe. It is Gabe.
Oh, is it Gabe?
Yeah, it is Gabe. This time earlier on. It's good to see these, like all these people that we have spoken to so many times before online, but never really had the opportunity to meet. As we quickly go through some highlights of the previous map, just to recap.
Yeah, we got a minute.
We got a minute or two.
If you missed it, if you missed the first game, Wolves, it was their map on Club. They got off to, well, an even start. It was traded rounds either side. They started to pick up a little bit of momentum, but on that final hurdle, just shy of getting to map point, maybe finding themselves another OT or not, it didn't matter. XSET, they bit back. There was a little couple of moments from the side of Wolves. They seemed to run out of steam and out of solutions.
Unfortunately, they did. And I hope they've just had a bit of a quick rest, a quick of a new huddle, talk to Lilun and the rest of the coaching staff.
Yeah.
See if they can find something they can use here against XSET. You see, they're just waiting before they join the lobby. Because they need to win this, so they're out. And NA will have a team in the semi-finals to take on another EU team after that. Either Rogue or G2. Don't know which one is going to be yet. Be up right after this one. And focus on either side. Some just looking at the crowd. Enjoying everybody back here.
Well, I mean, you want to get into it. Obviously, you know, every team here has pressure. Every team of course has a lot that they've got to get done. XSET obviously playing for the hopes and the dreams of a whole region. A region that's come off the back of 2 victories on the SI stage. And on the follow-up here. And, you know, they've always been a bit of a consistent showing recently in terms of in the NAL and being able to put in rounds. But they weren't the greatest hope for the region coming here.
No, they weren't. I think Astralis really was that team that everybody was looking forward to see on the stage here again. They make some noise. They have these pre-game chants that are very infectious and everybody really joins in, but had a bit of a disappointing group stage. And unfortunately, were unable to make it through, unable to find themselves on the stage. Elevated a couple meters above the air, looking over the crowd as they play to make it to the semi-finals, potentially put on a show towards the grand finals, maybe be crowned as the new major champions. And of course, the Six Invitational, that's what these guys are playing for as well at the same time. The more points you gain, the more likely it will be you will head over towards SI. For the hammer, for the World Championship, and maybe start a dynasty. Who knows? We always like to bring that one up.
No, it's worth mentioning. Obviously, I believe, based on the positions, we've had the amazing Sprabuni and Wrath here, putting together graphics, showing us numbers. They'll sort of just walk up to you before a game and be like, look at these numbers. And then you're like, oh, cool.
What do they mean?
What do they mean? Well, then they explain it. It's XSET, I think, if they perform pretty well, they're on like a 99% chance.
I think all of these teams, except for FaZe, find themselves in a really good opportunity.
Yeah.
Someone 90 plus already being in the quarters right here. So it is very likely that you'll see 7 of the teams you'll see fight today also fight it out.
I like how they can
Six Invitational.
see the lobby on the big screen in the room. I hope that every time we get a player joined, people cheer.
Yeah, we better get that. A slight little cheer for every player.
This is
that
like the
joins in.
perspective of being a caster, is watching the lobby slowly fill up and being like, yes!
Yeah, for those of you that might be wondering what it's like to be a caster, usually we have that second screen that is just this.
You can also see the
lobby.
You can see Medics is observing. Can we get,
Medics is
Can
observing.
we get a shout out for Medics? Yeah!
That's what we'd love to see. I did believe I heard Easy in my ear earlier as well, so can we get a shout out for Easy as well?
And it's not just a team of 2, it's a team of 3. Can we get one more big shout out for Red Like joining us here? He's the Italian guy.
The Italian Stallion.
Italian stallion.
Together with the Croatian Sensation.
And the Dutch Disappointment.
Yeah, unfortunately he called himself that. He had the opportunity to call himself whatever he wanted, but that was eventually what he went for.
That was what he went for.
Yeah. So we're waiting, just waiting. Chalet coming up next.
I'm excited for Chalet. I don't know if Wolves are.
I don't know either. There might be some nerves.
Tell me why.
Well, if they lose this one, they're out of the
Well,
tournament.
I meant in terms of Chalet.
Well, I mean, they have played it a couple of times. It's just not their best map. They, as I pull up the statistics in these last 3 months, I have them all written down. They have played it a total of 3 times and won it only once, unfortunately. So that is what they need to deal with here. A very poor attacking win rate of about 21%. The defensive win rate is about 37.5%. So you can already start to look at that and think like, okay, this is going to be a very tough game that we have ahead of ourselves, that we need to win to stay in the competition and to make sure that we have an EU finalist to come on.
Yeah! A player's joined
That's
the
the first. That's Yoga.
That's one.
There's Gomez. The joining one by one. In his spirits. And it's the 4th player, Kino.
We're starting to get... Oh, no! Someone left!
Oh, he dropped.
Do we boo when they drop?
Okay, so they need, I think they need to join in a certain rhythm.
Ah, okay. Okay.
P4 and Mowgli in. 4 out of 10 players ready to go. It is Rise. Who's going to be the next one? Taking any guesses?
Oh.
Bibu, all right.
Bibu. Wolves, they're coming in quite hot now.
They're coming in quite
Who's
hot.
going to be the full team to get it all together?
Spirits
XSET,
comes in. Oh, it's Wolves!
Wolves win! Getting into the lobby.
And we are complete. All 10 are in.
That says Hi Berlin in the bottom right corner.
Start shouting back towards the observers. It's the only way they can communicate with you guys, just by typing in the old chat.
And usually it's just us that see this. There's a moment where you want to sort of say to the players, do not type anything in all chat right now.
Yes, for sure. Hey, do you see that? The match has begun.
The match has begun.
The match has begun.
We'll see it. And we're in.
We're in Chalet.
We're in Berlin.
And Chalet. And it's do or die for Wolves. Exactly.
There's the house.
The house are coming out. Wonder if it's full moon tonight. Definitely starting to sound like that. Next up with the first band is going to be removing Fink off the board. So great to see people happy for not seeing Finka. Who's the next one? The Nuck. Oh, that's going to be an interesting one. No sneaking around the cameras this time for XSET. Gonna have to make sure they take them out. The fender to be removed is going to be Valkyrie, so no cams to be tossed out either.
All right, the pressure is on, Wolves. As much of fun we're having joining the lobby, we've got to actually make some business happen in it. XSET, you're still so close, but you always knew the danger coming in. Azami removed there by XSET. Although they used that pretty exceptionally.
Yep.
They don't want to roll that dice on Chalet. And again, it's always worth mentioning, they have a lot of intel on how Wolves like to play this map. They've taken it 3 times, attempted over the recent sort of swing of a couple of months, and they've only won it once.
Yeah, and that doesn't really speak well for them. And I just said it, their attacking win rate, 20%. Guess what side they're starting up? It's going to be the attack. It's going to be very rough for the Wolves. But if they manage to at least get 3, maybe 4 rounds out, they'll find themselves in a good position. Now, as we head on towards that basement first, towards the snowmobile and wine cellar, there's always this one hatch we keep on talking about in the kitchen. You need to keep that under control. If you have that as a defender, a plant is looking very unlikely in the wine cellar, as you can just stop them from coming in from the trench wall or boiler area, as you may. Diaz is currently reinforcing it. Otherwise, we do sometimes see some quick pushes as well around the snowmobile, but those usually have some different operators with them, so it seems like it will be a wine take from the Wolves. Some of the repicks come through. Now, I'm actually quite excited about one thing, Emmy. I really want to see a Sense in play.
I think
Sense is really good on Chalet.
Because there's a couple of those little pocket drone holes that just roll their way through to say, hey, ooh, Spirits doesn't quite get the full catch on a player, lost in and amongst the Christmassy trees of Chalet. Instead, going for a quick loop back round. Gomez, he wants to pay attention to whoever swings round. It might be a scrappy fight. There it is. They're able to trade it out. P4 was the second swing round. They had a bit of support and love, but they've lost Mowgli. Again, a huge player for the team to get to this position. Spirits are still sort of keeping a presence here. They're repeatedly trying to find a fight. P4 goes down, but there's no real way to connect to that unless they really try and put a chase in. Are they going to go out the double door?
They definitely are. Looking to go aggressive here to confirm the kill. We'll find it, but loses his life as a result. People also dealing some damage to Kino, but he'll live for now. And that brings us to that 3-3. A very explosive start of this first half. First round. 1 minute's gone and only 6 players remain.
The site is buried down in the basement as well. And you're still having some sort of pockets of being able to crack it open. They have the breach, but they've lost a lot of burn. So they're going to have to try and force their way through those Aruni gates. Rise finally makes some boots in the ground on the building itself. They've lost everybody around the balcony and the double door. And 1:30 for them to try and put that final bit of pressure onto XSET, who decided to go for a very tall stretch on this. All the guns currently pointed towards that west main take, and the idea with the open hatch, I mean, it sort of gives them an angle.
Only 3 drones that can be used as well currently by Wolves. There is, of course, 5 on the board. Almost still in pocket, but they're starting to move them around now. Trying to find some information on these players. Grenades to be tossed in as well. Bibo, of course, was afraid of a player still being around in the kitchen. Not going to be the case anymore. As the ball falling back towards the site. And an opening needs to be made. Pings are starting to come through. That's at least 1. That's 2 currently spotted out onto the basement. A 3rd has still gone on scene. As they're starting to come around on the backside here. An opening soon to be on the board. Rice springs by. Doesn't want to be hit through the door. The hatch is under control of Bibo as well. All they need to do now is create the opening they need onto the second wall so they can plant behind Wine.
There it is. Rise takes a bit of damage from the fight, across the door and onto Blue. Shinka is going to get the other breach through 30 seconds. And they've got to see if they can try and make some movement behind it. There's nobody currently going for the retake on the verticality. They're going to try and keep this as a 3 versus 2 on the fight inside. And Yoga swings wide and takes the head off of Rise. Kino on a backline as Diaz takes the fight. He's able to get the core in as Diaz with the double. And XSET get us off to a quick start.
A very quick first round indeed. I mean, you know, with 1 minute gone off the board, we only had 6 players left at that time. And XSET managed to close it out. Too disturbing of Wolves' setup, unable to truly get their attack underway. Sparring Gaming is going to be up next. There's some way that XSET, or not XSET particularly, but NA used to attack this. Through that basement you go. You open up that small line of sight in the supply line or the pantry, however you would like to call it.
You do?
Suddenly it becomes impossible to play, or at least a lot of pressure to play around there. You can just jump in, get for the plant right afterwards if you have that little bit of library control. As you see right here, the kills being picked up 1 by 1. Nothing really Wolves could do.
This is kind of the thing I was alluding to in the previous map, of if XSET start to build up on their defense and take the you know, first showdown. Here, that's a confidence that leans into the gameplay that they've been doing super well, which is let's swing and win. All of them are very capable gunners, and all of them have demonstrated that throughout groups. They started a bit slow today. They started a bit shakier than what we've seen, but if that energy in that sort of first round can keep that continued, that is a sort of worrisome moment for Wolves, who don't quite have that five-fingered slap.
Butch drawn in. Just trying to find some information, allowing P4 to push up as well. Drones are ahead of them. They want to find this early entry in the side of Wolves, and now P4 is really close to the side already. Just one hallway away, really. Just needs to turn the corner, and he's inside. Do they know on the side of XSET? I mean, they are roaming currently. There's a couple of them offside. I think there's only one or two actually defending the side itself. So if there is going to be the entry soon, just Yoga on the supply line there. Then Wolves can really quickly take control of this.
They do need to put the pressure onto the vertical, though. If that goes untested and you just try and drive through, usually it doesn't quite work your way. People on the far end is going to try and get some control. On Balk, they've got a lot of fight coming towards Spirits, but again, this confidence. XSET are leaning in. Bibu leans back. Takes care of Spirit on the rotate back round. He's gone. Rise on the double window too, and they've been able to get control over onto Bedroom. Gomez now has to pay it a bit of attention, but with nothing else currently being put towards that split, it's that steady change.
There's a steady change to come through. Mowgli popping some shots through the windows, unable to truly connect to anything as of yet. Touchstone taking care of some important ADSs right there. Gomez takes a small amount of damage. Swinging around in that library, they want to hold control. This is, of course, directly above the gaming site. They do manage to take control of that, keep control of that on the side of XSET. It's going to be very difficult to get an actual plan through. Ooh. As Mowgli finds one wall bang, but needs to fall off instantly. Gets up towards the second floor and wants to take the library now.
Vertical is theirs, at least for now, but there's a deep rotate coming through from the side of Gomez. Do they have the awareness of this loose player? Because that can turn into a massive disaster. There it is, though, P4 had the catch round. There's not quite going to be a strike. Yoga does strike one back on the little box window, and they're going to tuck themselves around on the corner so they can try and keep any semblance of support towards Kino. But P4, a slow creep round, 40 seconds, and the kit making its way from Dining. They're trying to find a cross angle.
And Wolves is able to take that second round in control. Equalize that scoreline. Some smart howls coming out again from the crowd. Definitely going to need those, because again, if they lose this map, they're out of the tournament. And we won't have a confirmed EU finalist. They need to beat XSET if XSET go through, and that would be either Rogue or G2. We get into round 3. Wolves just off the back of a round victory. We're headed towards the kitchen and dining area. Now, this is where I like to see Sens the most. They have that gadget.
They do.
Some call it the roly-poly, but I'll just go for the light screen. Blocks off everything. Of course, glass can look through, but that is, especially on this side, on the dining, you can throw it in from outside. Suddenly you can dig in deep right behind the bomb chassis, and there's nothing anybody can do except for toss over C4s, except for toss over impacts or smoke canisters or anything that you have to try and deny it. Because walking through that might be a bit dangerous, might be a bit risky. We're not quite seeing the sense yet, though. It is going to be Lion to be repicked by Rise. The Nomad as well for flank watch, of course. And P4 bringing in some verticality. That means that they probably will be taking that top floor under control first. However, XSET is putting in quite some resources, quite some rotation holes to make sure that they have all mobility they need to stay up there for a bit of a longer while.
Okay, Wolves, so we're going to have another back and forth show, or can you try and break up a little bit of the momentum? Chalet does lean itself well into attackers. And if XSET are able to keep that bite and fight game before they go over onto their attack, it could spell a shorter day here for the Wolves, leaving tail tucked between their legs. Mowgli's in, and he's instantly in towards Spirits on the bathroom. There's obviously Rise coming up on the far side. The ping's there, and Mowgli wins it out. As we hear a Gon 6 pop elsewhere too. There's the E1D, there's some hope and support, there's control from the Nomad of these loose XSET players. Free fires and angles, Kino is tempted to have a taste, but thinks better of it.
Still, many opportunities for XSET to retake this, though. They've created so many lines of sight that they still can fight on from the main staircase, can even retake from the library hallway here. And, you know, having Kino, having Gomez still out there, they're going to be making sure that Wolves is not able to open up as freely as they otherwise would, using, of course, the caber on the sledge. Verticality, it's key, just to get these players out of their positions. Try and dislocate them, push them to different areas. As they are starting to push in more towards that top floor, they do need to take the fight with these defending players at some point. I believe it's actually only Diaz currently on the side. All the others are around library. Do Wolves know this? I don't think they do. Selmas are coming out, they're breaching the hatch. That will elevate the pressure even more on Diaz. And soon they'll start pushing in from the trophy side.
Kino back towards the top of the door. Wolves there. Try and hold on. Just that little sliver of intel of this corner player. Another second, and Kino desperately wanting to push further, but it's Yoga that takes the first. Mowgli removed. Kino pulls himself back. He doesn't want to hand them a response and a bit of revenge. The grenade is just going to take a little bit too much air. Gomez is tucked dangerously close.
Probably think it's going to be clear now as the grenade just popped off. Didn't actually pick up any kills, so they might not know Gomez is out there. He might go for an absolute huge flank later on in this round. Flashbangs to be tossed out. They want to go aggressive. It's Shinka that will find Yoga. The plant is going down. 45 seconds soon to be on the board. It is before that finds Kino. Gomez will strike back though. He is up top. They need to worry about that as it's only up to Shinka now in a 1v2 situation.
Shinka's trying to find just a pocket of space. He's got the pings and he's got the alibi. But it's 36 seconds. Gomez on the verticality has to try and make his way back down. He knows they're not going to hand it to them through the soft here. He's looking for the fight just onto main. They've seen the kit, but they don't really have the idea on where the player went. Who's going to get it first?
Oh,
it's Gomez!
What a shot that was on Shinka. He will clutch it up for XSET, and then they will find their second defensive round. Unfortunate there for Wolves. They had the post plan, but not quite the positioning. Normally you want to have that verticality to deal with this. You want to have someone up above. But that grenade, I said it before, it lands a little bit too far. They think it's going to be clear, and Gomez strikes at the right moment. Clears the control on the top. Then strikes back and clutches out the round. And a tactical timeout to be called by Wolves. 45 seconds to talk about what's necessary. Because they feel the semi-final spot slowly starting to slip away from them as XSET take the lead.
I said it, it's risky, and it's actually mirrored image of when the timeout came from XSET from the opponents after the third round and the back and forth. Even though it's still super early, you have to try and rebuild some of the understanding. That was very clean there from Gomez. I mean, it comes down to a 1 versus 1 post plant. It cannot physically get closer.
And the thing is, you want to have that verticality then, or you want to be in a safe position, maybe even outside a trophy to take that fight. But with the position where Gomez was, there was no opportunity for him to either retake that top floor or to go outside the trophy to try and play it off like that. Gomez being alive, staying patient on that top floor, absolutely crucial for XSET to win that round. And they find themselves in that lead with both a map and a round right now. Gaming. Bar back on the board here. The round that Wolves managed to win before, but it was quite close. XSET wanted to bring it back there. Make sure they take that victory as well. And make sure Wolves will start to worry for their future of this tournament. Now, this top floor setup that we see on the pillar is going to be super natural. That's what you almost always see. It is kind of a focus point for the attack, though. You want to make sure you get rid of that player because it's basically the anchor point of the library. As soon as you get rid of the mezzanines player, you are able to push in library. Then you can deal with the player that is on top of the blue stairs. So the twitch of Bibu should have been crucial there, and I'm not sure if he got the bulletproof camera, but Yoga took it down before he did too much damage. Yeah, bulletproof gone. No, stays actually. Sorry.
Nope, just missed.
It's a big loss.
The width. And there's the irritating throw out. And that's just going to keep pinging continually.
Actually, Twitch drone used to get rid of it there, so huge piece of utility used.
Oh, they're out.
Fireball, and Yoga's already gone, so.
Yeah, not going to play that game. Realized that all the pressure was coming exceptionally hot towards that position. We saw, obviously, Wolves try and drive themselves from the opposite side last time on this. They took the fight onto the bedroom first, and this, it seems like they want to be a little bit more direct towards the site. With that, Prisma still outside with the attention that it's calling. They're going to go for the hop and make sure they don't get dropped by the player. P4's got the close tuck in. Grenades are going to start rolling around.
Ooh,
that first one to get rid of the Prisma. Kino wants to see if he can get rid of the player.
Grenade used to get rid of a Prisma is not something you often see, but taken care of anyway. Goma's now playing inside of that little side office, not playing on the actual mezzanines. We'll find the first Mowgli taken out. Goes aggressive, more aggressive in the library actually. Wants to make sure that this gets locked off. P4 misses the opportunity to go for that first kill. Might be swung upon here if he doesn't lock off Gomez first. Does so. Takes control. Wants to push on towards blue, but gets hopped as he finds Yoga.
There, onside the box, there's another fight back round. It's Kino and Spirits with one apiece. They're able to almost get the take onto the balcony. P4, he's a little bit stuck, and, well, Spirits makes him even worse. There is Spirits! And XSET aggressively retake the territory and brush off the timeout from Wolves.
Wolves is in need of some support right now because it's starting to slip away from them. Map 1, XSET. This map currently, XSET leading 3-1 on their defense here on Chalet. And we know Wolves' attack is not the strongest on this map. 21% win rate. Translates into about 1 in 5 rounds. That is what we're currently seeing. But they really need to get a second, maybe even a third out to feel comfortable as they go over towards the defense.
Ooh, bit spicy from Spirits, and
very spicy.
I guess this is that sort of glow and grow up from XSET. This is more like the XSET that we've seen over groups.
The Let's Go's are coming back out again, and they will need it. Give them that home crowd buff here in Berlin. As XSET, they have that lead, they have that 2-round advantage now as well. Still playing on that defense on a map that Wolves, well, it's fair to say, aren't really that comfortable on if you look at pure percentages, if you look at pure statistics. And of course, Wolves, they didn't have the strongest map pool going into this tournament. They have some permabans. And that means you will always be playing a map you feel less comfortable on. Again, that Prisma, by the way, just being a nuisance to the side of Wolves. Last time they used a grenade to get rid of it. Hope they don't do that this time around because it is a bit of a waste, possibly.
All right, Wolves. Sure, sometimes the first round after a timeout isn't yours, but this. Now we got the rotate back round to Snowmobile, which was our opener. The attempt to control. The E1D rumbles across the many rooms of Chalet, but it's actually no closer to catching a player. There's a lot of utility being put forward here by Wolves, and it's being quickly removed. XSET, they're able to kind of keep closing down and punishing that approach game here. 4-1 drones left sitting alive, and nobody caught from the cost.
Not yet. First minute has passed. No control, really. Mowgli needs to be careful with his back there because there's players aggressive. Just saw someone, almost gets flicked on, gets the first kill, finds Spirit, gets on the second, is not able to fully connect as he loses his life. Kino blocks him off with the MK14, and that means we're stuck in that 4-on-4 still.
Just caught by his knee being a little bit wider there. And Kino has kept this punishment game up. They keep popping their heads up. They keep getting a response to every single time Wolves take a body, and then they're able to slip themselves away. More dedicated trade game has really come through for them. Beebe's trying to break his way onto red. He wants to try and bait the swing here, but Yoga isn't going to take it. We throw our minds back to the last time we were here, and he pulled about a 3K just from that tucked-in corner onto blue alone. Wolves aren't going to try and roll that dice. They're still having to clear the rest of the map itself. There's obviously still that Prisma out the top, and still a lot of structure in place.
There's way too much in place for the Wolves to just hit the site directly now. They need to do some preparation, and they barely have any support or control. If you look at it, all they really have is the kitchen and the big garage, but that doesn't let you directly into the site. 50 seconds. They need to start opening up. So the first one will be going on the back of the wine cellar. The second extra thermic will be going on the boiler room wall. But Gomez already in an aggressive position to try and go right at Shinka as soon as that wall opens up. ADSs are being wasted. Wolves, you need to reply to XSET now.
P4 suffers again. That hard-hitting DMR just getting the little wings of the Wolves players. 20 seconds. And they've all stacked themselves here for a West main charge. You can see XSET's pull back to give them a firing line. Diaz is able to finish one. Shinka at least fires back for 10 seconds, and Yoga's still on the close corner. The blinds come through. They've dug themselves in. It's a 3 versus 2. Shinka's going to see if he can find a fight. Yoga gets the kill instead. And now Shinka with 1. And no one else. Tucked around onto a corner. XSET take another.
Kino gets the lock off there, and it's going to be 4-1. XSET leading. Only 3 rounds away from making it to the semifinals. And Wolves are seeing it slip away slightly. So the master bedroom and office will be up next. They've already used their tactical timeout, cannot do that again. Some Kino fans in here as well, I hear. Keep it up, very loud. It's a lot of noise the NA crowd needs to make here.
I mean, it's the NA. I wouldn't say crowd, I would say
the attendees.
The NA contingency that's made their way over here. Because, I mean, NA has a lot to make up for, let's be real, but XSET's kind of doing it, you know? And you got to realize, ooh, if XSET are the ones that make their way to the final, then that technically means XSET are the team that knocks you out of this. And that means NA, there's still a chance.
There is that chance.
I hate to be the bearer of bad EU news.
There's still hope, Emmy. This game's also not even over yet. It's getting closer, though, to being over. As the first map, again, XSET says this first half seeming like it could be a 5-1 lockout. Wolves haven't really been able to bring all too much together, except for that one round they managed to win. But even that was very bare bones, was very close, and almost went XSET's way. So they need to try something else. And they don't have tactical timeout to talk to the coach, to think of these things. So it needs to be coming from the members themselves. Rise, leading his team. Does he have something left to give for this game?
Well, here's a lot of attention played and a little bit of a hold here. Kino, he started to find himself more into this game. Is this going to be a blow of pace? They're going for a bit of a break. The bounce on the grenade through to anybody that might be tucked onto the end. Rise is going to lock off the side. They've already suffered from the swings, and they're suddenly inside. Spirits at least stops the entire flood through, but P4 does find Kino, and P4 finds another one. Spirits is gone. The bathroom has fallen into their control. They're looking to see if they can just try and find one more round. Gomez removes the air jab and wants to now remove the person who popped it, but they're going to pull themselves down away from the double window. It's a spray through. Gomez takes the head off of Rise.
It's a balcony clear now. They know they don't have to worry about that any longer. So as Shinka now repels in, it's him and P4 coming up from that south side. Hopping comes through. P4 is trying to go for a plan any time now. There's someone on the window, Bibu, to try and protect them. No one down below to get the nitrocell or an impact through, but the sound will definitely come through. They know something is happening.
There looks like there's a rotation, but Gomez changed his mind. It should be a post plant with the upside down rappel. Locking off nobody, but forces it. P4 gets the end. There's Diaz. A consistent end to a lot of sentences. Just cannot get the sliver of the head. 30 seconds, and Yoga's able to slip his way past from the hole. Shinka, he gets the spray through. Yoga gets put, and Diaz gets once again another end to a sentence. A 1 versus 1 once again. The C4, not quite the catch. Shinka pulls himself back, pre-fires through the soft. Has the Selmas to open up the angle if he wants to. Diaz is trying to play a bit of a cat and mouse game. 11 seconds. He's out of time at this point. He cannot hold it. There should be a Wolves lockdown, but he at least gets the kill.
No time for the defuse anymore, unfortunately for him, but Wolves get their second round. The Howls are coming back. Can they now make the difference onto their defensive side instead? I love these Howls. 4-2. XSET still in the lead. There's still some ground to make up for Wolves. And let's go, XSETs are coming out.
It was always going to happen.
It was always going to happen at some point. It's quite a bunch of people from NA I've actually spoken to already, so
They got to make the journey. Got to support the region.
Great.
You got to see Berlin.
You got to see Berlin.
There's a fair few things to do.
There's definitely
in this city. A turn of the half. And obviously Wolves at this point, they can only play the game that is ahead of them. They've used their tack timeout around the third round, and, well, their fate on the second half of that was pretty much the same. XSET on a good map for NA, on a good map for attackers, and on a map with mixed fortunes for Wolves. They obviously played it twice during their journey here in W7M. A 3-7 loss and an 8-7 win, which is a good sort of mark. They lost it to Secret as well in EUL on the journey here.
Yeah, and it's these mixed performances and it's these low percentages, because the 2 times they did lose it, it was quite a hefty loss, we have to say. And right now, at least, they have an opportunity of fighting. Round 7, 2 rounds behind. They need to make sure they strike back instantly on that defense. Not give XSET too much space to set up their attack. Diaz is getting in that drone from the trophy side. He's going to be putting that as a bit of a pre-place just to get some information down. We've seen Kendry, for example, from Secret, hide in that exact same corner and knock down many players as they wanted to go for an execute. Could have even been against Wolves. So they want to make sure that doesn't happen against themselves on the side of XSET.
Mowgli, he hasn't quite been able to have the same effect throughout the series that he's had on their journey here and groups. Neither really has Rise to that follow-up. They're looking to see if they can just get a bit of a lean in. But as the box gets breached and the pullback comes through, the attention is paid towards dining underneath. It's potentially a very quick play onto this. They've obviously got the Glaz watching the back line, the smokes, ready to be deployed. We heard them pop off instantly. Spirits isn't rewarded with a body. They have some awareness, but P4 is actually the next to suffer. They're just checking that nobody's tucked in close on the corner. The only backline is far on the opposite side. The pings come through. It's a Bulletproof that's been watching this whole fight, not giving them a true engagement.
Bulletproof has been taken out. Next set is setting themselves up for a full-fledged 5-on-5 execute. There is some players up. Still on the top floor, 1 on the back of Trophy. Wrong timing from Kino. Still lives somehow as he was being shut up by Mowgli. He's gone in and dig a little bit deeper now. Spirits does go down by Mowgli and the MK14.
It's an important fight, but Kino brings it right back round. They lose the Glaz and the ability to see through the smokes. They just got to see if they can try and get this kit down. The Bulletproof was taken as well. It turns into a bit of a blind fight. So P4 digs himself close. Do they know the plant's going down? Oh, can you get yourself an angle? There's the cover. There's the man. There's a cold kit. They've gone for a bit of a retake on the top floor as well. The verticality has gone back into their favor onto the side of Box. P4 tucks right round the kit. Yoga with the cooked grenade. Won't quite get the rest of it. Diaz dropped on the door. And a huge swing from P4.
Gets that quad kill and limits the round differential to only 1 now. One more round and we find ourselves even. And the howls get louder and louder. P4 starting to get fired up as well. Not just in game, but vocally. It's a bit of a mixed one going on at the same time, but will it be a 4-4? P4 with that huge play, finding the cover, finding the diffuser as well, shutting down the last 2 members of XSET. There's a bit of a fight going on between the 2 champs.
It's a bit of a back and forth.
It's a bit of a back and forth. But it's 4-3. Wolves already have that first map gone their way. Now, looking to find their second, looking to find their ticket into the semifinals against either Rogue or G2. And as round 8 is about to be upon us, we are headed towards the bar and gaming area. Now, verticality, library is going to be super important. The pillar onto the mezzanines is often a place. A hard point, as you may, for the defenders. Twitch drones often come by, pay a quick visit to try and take care of the ADS is often placed there to deny any grenades from blowing up the person right behind the reinforced wall. And no doubt it will be no different this time around as well.
Steady on here, Wolves. you've got to try and keep that stern face, and P4's got to try and keep a bit of control on the bottom floor. He's looking for anybody that might go for that quick route through. We talked about it from NA, the heavy hammer hit and a bit of a slink up to the line on Pantry. But the prep is remaining locked for now, and they're happy to just sit and wait for a potential follow-up and hope they don't get drowned and droned.
Pre-fires coming through. Yoga hoping to find a very tight angle onto the player on the hard point, on the stronghold. This on top of the mezzanines, near the pillar. Spirits and Gomez coming in from the window. They might just be going for a direct push right down the middle. A grenade to be cooked. It's B4 with a run out, but it's not going to be able to hit anything. Spirits will find Rise. That's a great entry for the side of Wolves, for the side of XSET.
I was going to say not for Wolves, but at least nobody suffered behind it. There wasn't that second swing that XSET likes to do. Mowgli's in a very aggressive position here, and he's not really sure where he wants to go, but it seems like out of there is probably the best option. P4 might be under the next bout of pressure. He's rotated his way all the way up the far side stairs just to give some extra support. The drone will reveal him, and he's not going to stick around. You can see Spirits wants to try and apply that. The F2 swings, he takes the hatch, and yeah, that's the wisest decision I think we've seen.
Lives, if he would have been a millisecond slower, that would have been his head taken off right there. So before lucky to escape after he had been spotted earlier, but that means he's still around and about. He's about to be chased down through the West Main area. Actually, not being checked, he shoots right behind him. That gives away his position. Two players of XSET now on that chase through West Main. Are they going down? No, it doesn't seem to be the case.
No, they've got to try and put some attention onto the site. They know they have a man advantage. If one is loose, well, that just makes it a 5 versus 3. You wrestle some trade control, and suddenly it doesn't really matter where the other loose player is. So P4 rotates his way back round. Bibu rotates his way off, caught out. Spirits is inside the site, looks for a fight onto the prep line. There's one tucked on the corner, the pre-fire connects. Spirit then gets dropped on a trade, but underneath P4, fights his way, cannot get further than the second story. Mowgli. All that's left here is the burn of the Melusi. There's 10 seconds, he's going aggressive. He's able to take one, but it's Kino that keeps the 2-round buffer.
Mowgli, who we also call the Magician, unable to clutch it out this time. He managed to find the first, but XSET already too far around and too far surrounded to be able to make something happen. And the XSET fans are getting louder and louder as, well, they are getting closer and closer to be making it towards the semifinals. 2 more rounds. And they lock themselves in as the only team from NA still being here at playoffs against one of 3 of Europe's.
Wolves, you need to try and find that little bit of magic. You highlighted it before, and we'll see if it can happen down on Snow, a site that evaded them both times, both swings on their attacks. Scarpered and suffered with not a lot of time left. That was the opener there, the swing from Yoga. A scrappy fight and a quick take back, maybe assume just one on the prep. Almost a big retaken moment from P4, but the 4K from P4 was one of their rounds before, and it's something that you cannot forget. We said it before. XSET are a team where all of them love to get in fights. Wolves, not so much, but this game, you're just sort of seeing single-star performance.
We had to find it. I mean, P4 definitely putting in that work. It's just that the rest of Wolves, they need to step it up just that little bit more. And Rise, unfortunately, still in 0 for now, hasn't really been able to find his way in to this map so far. And, you know, that was the case during EOL as well. Went 0-12 on his very first game, and after that, dropped 13+ every single time. For a second there, I thought someone was about to be rappelling in there. Mowgli takes a lot of damage, somehow escapes with his life. Needs to make sure he stays alive as well, because Wolves cannot afford that early loss right now.
I mean, that was that XSET throughout groups, the positions that they had. As soon as Mowgli breathed, he was caught. But there's a bit of a response. Yoga will go down. Won't be confirmed just yet. There is obviously Spirits finding a fight of his own. The cover comes. There's the call. And that's the alibi. So they will know that they have the safety to get that player up. Rise is thinking about causing a problem. This drone is thinking about causing his own. Forces him second further back. Hasn't really been able to connect with the opponents yet.
Got to be fully aware now that someone is around on those back stairs, and Rise Dust will be falling back, realizing he's more useful on the actual side than he would be potentially dead. Slowly, XSET starts to push around the side. Kitchen and Dining is about to fall as the drones come through and confirm no one's out there anymore. That means that Hatch is under control of the attackers now. Still some prep work to do on the actual side, though. 80 seconds, 2 walls to open up. It's going to be very, very much doable for Kino, who still has 2 of his exothermics left, so nothing to truly worry about. But the mirror window that's out there, that could be opened up, could be created to, well, fight through or deny one of these exothermics. So instead, they just punch it, let them not know anything about it, and thus it gets opened up.
The tricky play back at this point is they've lost P4. We talk about him being the big tour de force of the French and Belgian side. And now they've got to see if they can try and prove that they can keep this moving. Mowgli scrapped and hit round the back of the chassis, is looking to try and maybe find a fight before he's removed. He doesn't have a lot that he can otherwise utilize. The C4 of Bibu. It's a risky swing to take. He's waiting for maybe a little bit more audio. The smoke will buy him a second of cover. The grenade will go one way, and that is out of here. Gomez gets Bibu. There's a fight over the top. Mowgli's down, but Shinka doubles it right back. Rise sprays through the smoke, but they've managed to get the kit close and gets it even closer. XSET sit on map and series point.
One more round, and they find themselves in these semi-finals. The only hope NA have left, looking to make it through. They have a couple of opportunities to do so. There's no more tactical timeout for Wolves. There's nothing they can do, nothing Lilun can do to bring this back. 3 match points, and XSET will have to attack Master Bedroom and Office, as that is where Wolves opt to go. They need to push back now. Wolves need to start fighting against XSET, because otherwise it's going to be over for them. Their tournament ends here. And of course, he would have gotten many side points, but it's not going to be enough. They want to win. They want to continue for EU. So let's start the fight now.
It was just really well put together there from XSET. I mean, the drive through, it's the response that they hadn't really found on the first map on their attacks on Clubhouse. They weren't as tight, they weren't as locked in. It was a 3-3 half, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't the XSET that we've seen up to this point. This is. And unfortunately, it's some of the bits of Wolves that we've seen. They were scrappy throughout groups. They were the most clutches and the most OTs, and you can sort of see why here. There's a lot that they need to try and find extra in the canister right now to catch up with XSET on the opposite side. Kino with the Candelas in pocket. And some long-range attention paid.
All they need is 1 round. Just a couple of connections. If the first entry again goes XSET's way, then this should be very demoralizing for the side of Wolves, because they see it currently slipping out of their hands. Now, they need to attack that top floor. XSET is starting to put up some pressure from multiple different sides on that map. The balcony is being used and currently explored as Spirit's making sure as well that information is out there. Rise on the cameras is just trying to give some information out to the rest of his team to allow someone like P4 to go aggressive, to do what he does best, pick up an entry kill here as Shinka goes for the jump out from the bathroom window. We'll find Spirits. And that's the first.
A good movement there from Shinka. Takes the bite before they had anybody else that they can put in the position. Could feel the drones and the attention starting to mount. And at that point, you've got to take a risk, because otherwise they will take you. Yoga gets 1. Mowgli removed back. With the control taken off, they're not going to have any more of the work of the Magician Gomez. A slow creep round, hot droned forward. There's a bit of attention, a swing and a pre-fire, and it's Rises to take his first. Tries to find his second, hits the door, and hits some of the pressure onto Yoga. The Candelas come. Careening across, and it's Bibu that puts the kit cold. Out on the bottom of the door on the far end. The rotation of the Echo drone from Rise is going to get that, feed that intel back towards Wolves. Diaz peppering a couple of shots, but nothing's being handed to him, and there's not a run-up being given. Wolves are just going to hold their cards to their hand here. They might not know that the kit's on the far end, but they sure know they're in a 4 versus 2.
Wolves just need to be patient here. Just stay passive as you currently are. It's a 2 and 4. If you start fighting now, you might lose it out still. You do not want to give them any 1v1s. This grenade takes out Rise. Brings it back to a 2-on-3. Kit still cold on the ground. Diaz would need to go and pick it up, but instead he goes for the kills. He finds B4. So it's a 2-on-2 situation now. XSET against Wolves.
Bibu and Shinka, all that's left of Wolves' hope throughout this, the show closest to home in a long time. Diaz forced further away. Not quite allowed to come up the stairs as of yet, and with 20 seconds, that's precious, precious time. They've got to take the fight. They have no other option. The kit is too far away. Wolves are tucked into a corner, 15 seconds. There's a close swing.
Oh,
there's one down, Yoga, but he's not quite able to make it. It's a technical 1 versus 1. Bibu crawls in 7 seconds. Diaz charges with everything he can to try and find the sliver end, but Shinka is long gone. At this point, Wolves, they keep themselves in it.
But that was way too close. XSET bringing it back. Just stood at 1v1 in the end. Get loud for them. They will need it. 2 more rounds and we will head to overtime, where Wolves have the opportunity to bring it back. A tactical timeout from XSET. 45 seconds for them to discuss, to see how they can lock it off, but they do know that this is also time Lin can use together with Wolves to talk to them, see if there's any pointers, see if there's any motivational speech she can give to bring them back into this game.
Shinka opened and closed that round, and he's a player that you do kind of want to start seeing firing on some cylinders. Rise also able to find his first kill this engagement, this game, in that very final one, but there's still a distance to go. Still a difference for them to try and claw their way through. It's far from done.
It's a big gap to be bridged by the Wolves. Not by Wolves. 2 more rounds. Timer about to resume as they opt to go to kitchen and dining. The first floor to come out. Wolves needing to win 2 more rounds to bring it to OT. What will they go for? Because that last round, they managed to take a big advantage. Unfortunately, still lose out on quite a bunch of players. That is something they need to prevent from happening. Play around at your man count. Make sure you use the advantages you get. And do not allow XSET to get back into it. They've just used the tactical timeout. They still had that one left in their back pockets and just flashed that card. And as the Wolves set themselves up, I'm wondering how heavy of a roam will this be? How many of them will be actually on the side, or are we just seeing them on the direct floor above?
Well, obviously, this was that snappy round of Wolves where it was a bit of an aggressive retake. They played against the smoke game, and they're playing against the smoke game. P4 is going to make sure that he has Warden's glasses, but it's not the game, actually, that XSET wants to bring. No glass, none of those pocket smoke, something a little bit more direct seems on the cards. They're going to try and force the fights instead, not try and play themselves to a ploy, instead do what's been working, which is destroy some of the hard and then destroy the players behind it.
Before rotating back towards the side, he hoped for a quick entry towards the snowmobile, but wasn't able to find that first engagement he might have been looking for. Knows Warden is, of course, useful on that side. As soon as the flashbangs and potential smoke start pushing through, he can look all right through it. Continue to take on these fights against XSET. Valuable to that extent. Mowgli, up on that top floor, is willing to give himself a bit of extra information, breaks the glass on the barricade, of course, which allows you to listen a little bit better to potential repels to come in. As an RC Retiro about to be turning the corner right here, gaining a lot of information. Hey, this first part is going to be clear. Nothing to be found but a bulletproof camera, so we'll destroy that, denying the information that Wolves have.
And a little bit more and a little bit more is sort of the XSET intel game. We can see the drones coming on the far side. The players still have a bit of a shield. Kino's just going to swing onto Rise's fight there, and he's going to try and move back behind the shield. And back into the fight once again, all over the break. They're somehow able to slip their way past. Rise is still going to tuck in and hold it a bit aggressive, and Yoga, he has an idea about that. Gomez gets the first. There's a fight, and Rise bites back. He's trying to drive himself closer and closer. Saw the door was open, and he's got Mowgli for a little bit of shoulder support. It's closer than he thinks, though, Spirits. He's able to get it, and Spirits is driving himself further and further. Pre-fires either side of the door, and he doesn't quite get the connection. Spirits this time, but doesn't have his life for C4, but Yoga gets it. Now Shinka, he's locked on the site. A big potential rotation from P4.
Rotates back up, wants to keep the pressure on. They know where Shinke is. The verticality comes in. And now it's only up to P4 in a 1v3 situation against XSET, who are on map and match point. 2 more opportunities for them to lock it off. P4 retakes the top floor, makes a lot of noise, and gets shut down.
And that is all for Wolves this showing. They fought and bit their way out of groups, but they go no further. XSET, they keep waving all of the flags of their country, but the region itself, NA stays in the showdown, and NA technically has one more fight against the EU ahead of them. They could remove the entire region from the home region's showdown.
They definitely could, but with that said, XSET, they played well, they played great. A very deserved victory, and they will be second semi-finalists.
Second semi-finalists, obviously, they don't know who they're up against as of yet, but they definitely knew who they wanted to be on this showdown. It did start slow on the first map, which is strange because while they started fast throughout all of the group stage, they came in as the 4th seed, and now they've come here to do that little bit sort of extra, and I think NA can sort of have a bit of a sigh of relief. It was a first obstacle, and we didn't quite get the full pressure. We didn't quite get the full game. And I think now what we've got is the gift and the blessing of Ian Chambers. He's going to get in the head of Kino to see, well, what words he has to say.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Emmy and Hap. I am standing here on the stage with the victorious Kino, of course, of XSET. Sadly, Wolves are packing their bags and leaving this competition here. Kino, that was a phenomenal performance from yourselves. 2-0 was the score, but did it feel like easy work?
Clubhouse, we started slow. It was honestly a really tough map. Chalet was like smooth because we started pretty slow. So our Chalet, our comms were flowing, our droning, it was perfect. So Chalet was definitely easier, but it was, I got to give it to Wolves. They were a good opponent. It was a good game.
You've well and truly got the NA on your back right now, and you are performing in front of a majority European crowd as we are here in Berlin. Do you feel that heat? Because there were lots of Wolves fans in the crowd as you were going along there.
Yeah, I mean, they had the crowd, you know. One EU team down, 2 more to go. You know how it is.
Did you hear that? 1 EU team down, 2 to go. How do you feel about that, Berlin? Hey, hold on. Are there any XSET fans in the building? So there you go. So your team is like, it's young, it's full of raw talent. Do you feel like you're really riding a wave of momentum at the minute?
100%. We only lost our first game against Rogue. We were nervous, we were slow, but now this is it. We're planning on not dropping a single map.
Wow, that's confident. And I mentioned that you've got NA on your back right now. Do you feel the pressure from your region to bring this major home?
Not at all. You know, I'm half Brazilian. If you think about our team is half Brazilian, so
of course.
We have Latam supporting us over here.
There you go. Is there anything that you want to say to this crowd and any potential future opponents here this weekend?
Rogue and G2, just be careful. We're coming for you guys, not dropping a map.
Hey, this is going to get spicy as we go along this weekend. Kino, thank you so much. Congratulations. Go and celebrate with your team. Do you want to wave that flag? I mean, feel free to wave the flag. Feel free to put it high in the air proudly. Give it up for Kino and your victorious XSET. Commiserations to Wolves. There is a very handsome man on a desk down there with a thicker beard than mine. Milos, how are you doing?
I thought it would be Jesse that you're talking about in that case.
A thick beard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yes.
When I think beard, I think Jesse on it. Thank you very much. You're beautiful yourself, Ian. And yes, we are back on the desk. Unfortunate, Europe lost 1, but we got 2 more teams. Don't worry about it. That'll come in later. XSET, even themselves were saying, you know, we're half Brazilian. We're a Brazilian team. All right. So Brazil, so good. They had to go to NA to get a 5th slot to go to a major. Fair enough. We'll treat it as that. If you want to enjoy it as an NA team, sure, so be it. I'll give it to you. Sure. But they made it through, and that's the important thing because there is a lot of pressure on them, but it seems like Kino and the squad were just relaxed. They're playing their game, and they've been playing it ever since that first loss. They have no problem since.
Absolutely, and again, like whether they're repping North America, South America, a little bit of both, I think regardless they're going to be playing fantastic, and they're the European opponents throughout these playoffs. It doesn't really matter what half of the Western Hemisphere they're on. Europe's not going to be on their side. They know they're the villains, so I like that they're playing that up a little bit, and he knows what he's doing.
I mean, Europeans evidently aren't a problem for this XSET team. I said it was going to be a 2-0. What did it turn into? A 2-0.
It's tough.
That's right.
It's tough.
The guys only had one loss in the group stage, and yes, it was to Rogue. That was the issue that we saw. If they end up going and playing Rogue in the semifinals, then we might have a bit of a different conversation. But all we know right now is they had the one loss on their resume, and now they've won every game, I think, since then. They're on a bit of a streak right now.
Yep, that'll be a 7-map win streak going forward now into the semifinals. That's dominance if I've ever seen one. And listen, you take a look at this game, especially against the Wolves, and I think it plays out how you'd expect a match against the Wolves to go, because we saw a lot of these attacking rounds not really go the way of the French squad. They're a team that, of the teams that made top 8, have the worst attacking rating at all coming into these playoffs. They had a 38% attacking win rates, and this game kind of showcased why that was. It felt like they were a little bit disconnected. They were doing fine on the roam clears, trading out usually, but those side executes were just so one-dimensional. They were coming in one at a time, and XSET were cleaning them up in the site.
Look, I watched Clubhouse, and I'm thinking, okay, this is 7-5. It's tight. It's close. It's going to get even closer. We probably should go to a map 3. And then we start off Chalet, XSET on the fence, and they get 4 rounds on the fence on Chalet against the Wolves also. That start to kind of, hey, there's alarm signs going off here, alarm bells.
Right.
Something's not working too well. But one player that really facilitated all this coming together is our MVP, XSET. Who is our MVP for the matchup? Let's bring it up on the screen. It's Luka.
Very nice.
Very is 125, almost 2.0 KD. It's not bad at all.
No. Diaz Lucas BR. Otherwise, just Diaz. One of those players that we were hyping up before the game even started, right? Diaz is one of those like dual support players that plays alongside Kino, and I really do feel like he's one of those guys that doesn't get the spotlight at all nearly enough. 19 and 10 despite man and hard breach and mute, not operators that often get all the kills. And the big thing that we highlighted with him, especially going into this quarterfinal, was how good he is at staying alive, right? At preserving his life, at playing that cost game, and that low death count that we saw there, 10 deaths in a best of 3. That's crazy. That's a big reason why he's able to keep impacting things for his team and why he deserves the MVP spot today.
This kind of stuff just makes me wonder if, for some reason, XSET don't have coaching debacles in Charlotte, how far of a run do they make it through that bracket? That was the one thing they immediately credited as being the reason they didn't go further, was because we don't have a coach behind us. We don't know when we're supposed to call timeouts. Who's meant to pace the game for us? Vivas is cut from very similar cloth as Bodega, and that kind of time management isn't something that really needed to be fed into much this game. I don't even know if they called a timeout or felt it necessary. They felt like they had the game under control at all times, and this scoreline is just like icing on the cake right now.
Looking at 4 deaths once again from Diaz. They only lost 4 rounds. That's where it typically was coming from, and so this has been a very dominant match so far. I believe the most dominant game we've had in the playoffs, right? The most dominant single map, going, only 11 rounds. That's tough from the Wolves.
I actually asked Bodega, hey, why did you pick Chalet? His response was very, very simple. I'm just the best at it.
No kidding.
That's cocky, but you know what? Against Wolves, they proved that it could all happen. Mowgli was not even allowed to kind of show up in the game. P4 was doing a lot of that work. You can't make it work. For Wolves, everybody has to put in the work for it so the team can actually make it out. And there were so many of these rounds, especially when Wolves are on the attack, we're thinking, how many of these are going to end in a 1v1 where there's no way XSET can retake a 2v4, and then they do it?
Yeah. Yeah, there was way too often that it felt like even those rounds that Wolves were winning, like it felt so close. That 6th round where Shinka's in the 1v1, loses the gunfight, thankfully has it on time. But even still, like those are not the decisive wins that you want to see from a team that are getting to play right on attack on Chalet. It's typically a very strong side for them. So for Wolves, I think they definitely need to go back to the drawing board with some of these attacks. You know, P4, he did a great job sometimes getting in for that entry, surprising a couple of players. We saw that, I think, back on round number 4, where he did a great job kind of getting in, disrupting the defense. defense.
Yeah.
But then there were trades, and there were more players like funneling back in on him. And so too often it just felt like it wasn't enough. P4, the only person who was able to put in that work. And as you said, mentioned, Milos, just not there from Mowgli today.
I mean, I'll say this much. I do have a lot of respect for teams that go into a situation like this, maybe understanding that this was the toughest draw that they could have had. Hey, commiserations to Wolves. Everyone, they did a really good job against an XSET team that was probably always destined to make it through, given how good their group stage result was. I think if you do go back to the drawing board, if you find a way to maybe rein Mowgli in sometimes, because it felt like some of those initial picks were things he didn't have to get nearly as crazy with, that, and when you understand that your initial attack setup isn't going to work and then you just push for it, you don't need to be as desperate with it. It felt like some of those takes could have used a little bit more pacing. Maybe we end up seeing more plants and more actual objective prioritization from this Wolves squad. There are very good things about this team. They were great coming in, just fell short at this hurdle.
Yeah, and unfortunately that's kind of been the story of Wolves over the tournament, but they'll, in my opinion, always keep coming back. I'm expecting them at the next major. They showed off in the group stage, and of course to qualify to Berlin, regardless of anything that happened here.
Yeah.
Close game on map 1. We'll see what happens, how they take away, or what they take away from this, and what they bring for later. Let's have a look at our bracket, just to update things for everybody watching at home that might have just joined us, or people that are here in the venue with us. 2-0 XSET versus Wolves. 2-1 W7M versus Elevate. That was our first game of the day. So both Wolves and Elevate bowing out of the tournament in the quarterfinals. That's how it always is, you know, it's split by half until we get one at the end of it. And we still have 2 more matches to get through at the halfway mark. Gentlemen, I mean, for you, this is kind of your, I guess, your part of the day done, right, with these 2 games. So your idea so far, how things have gone in Berlin? I mean, you just arrived here, so the major teams' expectations, how's it all looking?
I think this has gone pretty well how we expected the first start of the tournament to go. I would have liked to see a little bit more of a competitive series between Wolves and XSET, but ultimately I think it's good to see North America's last bastion of hope, you know, having a strong result to start things off here. Unfortunate that we couldn't see Elevate move forward in the bracket, but such a good game from them. I don't think they can be too upset, especially when they're looking back in the next couple of weeks about how that game went. So, yeah, maybe tomorrow I'll show up and I won't have them just swam across an ocean. That might might make tomorrow a little bit better for me.
Are your arms tired? How are your shoulders feeling? You need a massage in the back?
Yeah, that might actually do me good.
We can fix that problem.
Thank you.
So here's the thing. I know I usually curse teams, but I've gotten both series counts correct and both maps counts correct, so...
But you're not on the next series anyway.
I'm not on the next series, that's true. I don't know if it's just a desk buff or what it is, but so far, it's gone exactly as expected for me. It would have been nice to see Wolves have a more competitive series, but ultimately, this is shaping up exactly the way I drew it up.
All right, let's see how the last 2 games will go. So Jacob, Jesse, thank you so much. Thank you for everybody here joining us in Berlin, all those watching at home. We will take a quick break. When we come back, we resume with our final 2 matchups. See you in a bit.